and couldn't help but soften. He got out of the car. The boy was raised by 5 extraordinary elders since childhood. Grandpa Rong stands at the pinnacle of martial arts. Grandpa Tsong is an unbeatable hacker. Grandpa Yun has unmatched gambling skills in the world. Grandpa Lu's culinary skills are unparalleled. Grandma Luo is known as the living Hua Tua, but they are trapped in the forbidden zone of Huaxia, facing desolation. Since childhood, Qin Mo has been learning from his grandparents. This also allowed him to develop remarkable skills. It was precisely because of the existence of Qin Mo that these 5 extraordinary elders found the motivation to survive, until the arrival of a woman completely shattered the tranquility here. The woman was Jiang Xiqin, the best friend of Qin Mo's mother. To fulfill her best friend's last wish, she brought her child back to the city. She traveled far and wide. Finally, she found her. When Jiang Xiqin saw Qin Mo for the first time, her heart suddenly stirred with excitement. Then, she tentatively asked, "Are you Mo?" Qin Mo froze in place after hearing this. Grandpa Long sighed deeply when he heard. It seemed he had long expected this day to come. Then Qin Mo reminded him that it was time for him to go out and gain some experience. Perhaps this would help him break through his current bottleneck. The 5 elders then carefully packed luggage for Qin Luo. Grandma Luo smiled and advised him to refine a few more Qins. Bring back a few good girls for Grandma to see. Grandpa Yun also reminded him. Let him do a good fortune-telling, but be sure not to go broke at the gambling house. You have to take it slow and steady. Grandpa Lu tearfully brought a pot of soup. The food outside isn't good. If you can cook, do it yourself as much as possible. Grandpa Tsong patted Qin Mo's little head. Don't listen to them. Knowledge is what changes your fate. If you're short on money, just hack the bank system. Jiang Xiqin, standing aside, was completely stunned. What kind of people are these? Under the guidance of the 5 grandparents, Qin Mo set off on the journey home with Nichio and Jiang Xiqin. Grandpa Long watched Qin Mo's departing figure, his eyes revealing a hint of reluctance. After a 3-day journey, Qin Mo and the others finally returned to Huaxialan's residence. But upon returning home, Jiang Xiqin's husband and daughter showed no kindness towards Qin Mo. Only Jiang Xiqin took good care of Qin Mo. She even promised to visit her parents tomorrow. Early the next morning, the two arrived at a cemetery. Even though he had never met his parents, seeing their tombstones still moved him deeply. He really wanted to know the cause of their deaths. But unfortunately, at the end of the Qin dynasty, my mother was afraid that Jiang Xiqin would be implicated. There were many things he also avoided discussing. Aunt Jiang, you should head back first. I want to be alone for a while. Jiang Xiqin glanced worriedly at Qin Mu. He sighed, then turned and left. At that moment, the voices of a group of people could be heard. This tomb is the most suitable one. Captain Zhao, you have to trust me. It's like Qin Mu isn't even kneeling here. He pointed at his parents' tombstone. Who knows which clueless wandering soul has taken over this prime spot? Might as well just dig it up. When he saw Qin Mo, he kicked him right away. Get out of the way, stop blocking here. Qin Mo threw the ring into the fire basin. He said calmly, please leave. I'm paying my respects to the dead. Please show some respect for the deceased. But the feng shui master saw that his words had no effect. He kicked over the fire basin. This action instantly ignited Qin Mo's fury. A foot violently kicked the feng shui master in the stomach. The master instantly contorted his face. He stumbled back several dozen meters. With just one move, he knocked the feng shui master down to the point of spitting blood. The sudden turn of events left everyone dumbfounded. Qin Mo coldly said, pointing fingers at the dead is disrespectful. Disturbing the Pure Land is an insult to the deceased. The master staggered to his feet. Captain Zhao was so angry he yelled. This grave is on a piece of prime feng shui land. It must be dug up. It's related to the burial of his grandfather. Zhao Qinglong couldn't afford to be careless, so he followed the feng shui master's advice. Young man, do you want to discuss it first? I bought this cemetery plot. What if I don't? With Zhao Qing backing you. The feng shui master shouted again, saying if we don't agree, he'll flatten this place. I've got my eyes on this prime feng shui spot. I've never missed out on one. Qin Mo suddenly burst into laughter after hearing this. You're a feng shui master? As the favored minister of the Long clan's feng shui master. Of course, I don't take Qin Mo seriously. Qin Mo said sharply, I wonder if you have heard of the 9 stars feng shui technique? Upon hearing this, the feng shui master's expression changed drastically. At that moment, Qin Mo took out 9 silver needles from his bosom. He pointed the silver needles towards the ground. Heavenly Wolf Soul. Phoenix Dance of 9 Stars. With Qin Mo's cold shout, the 9 silver needles stuck in the ground began to tremble, and instantly ejected from the ground. Qin Mo took out a talisman paper, lit it up and threw it forcefully. The talisman instantly illuminated the 9 silver needles. The feng shui master was already terrified, pale as death. This was not far from the miracles recorded in ancient texts. Then he excitedly knelt directly in front of Chin Mo. I didn't know the Celestial Master had arrived. I apologize for my offenses. Please forgive me, Celestial Master. My qualifications are too shallow. It would not be an exaggeration to say that Chin Mo's entire career is ahead of him. Zhao Captain let out a long sigh. We can't afford to mess with this person. Let's hurry and go. Zhao Qing glanced at Chin Mo with a complicated look. Suddenly, an idea sprouted in his heart. He then respectfully said to Chin Mo, what just happened was our fault for being too powerful. I wonder if the Celestial Master is skilled in medicine. Could you save my grandfather's life? Chin Mo replied once tonight passes, it means his death. Why should I save him? Hearing the words death date, Zhao Qing became even more agitated. I was wrong before, Master Tian. As long as you can save my grandfather, the Zhao family will be at your service. After hearing Zhao Qing's words, Chin Mo became somewhat angry. Grandma Luo often taught him that a healer should have a compassionate heart. If you can help, then help. He then nodded in agreement. There is no one in this world who is not wise, but when my parents have their peace, someone must come to sweep the grave. For 3 years, incense offerings must not cease. In the second hospital of Long City, the doctor saw Zhao Qing's arrival. Everyone makes way. This is a greasy middle-aged man, hurrying over in a white coat to take credit. Thanks to my treatment, Commander Zhao can live for another month. At this moment, Zhao Qing recommends Chin Mo to help treat her grandfather. Dr. Zhu's expression darkens upon hearing this. He doesn't dare to get angry at Zhao Qing. Then they immediately turned their attention to Chin Mo. Which hospital are you from? What rank? What status? Chin Mo calmly replied, I'm not from a hospital. No rank. No status. Just an ordinary person with no education. Dr. Zhu laughed out loud. Young Master Zhao, you entrusted your grandfather's life to an uneducated little brat. I truly admire you. Chin Mo's response made Zhao Qing's face turn ugly, but Chin Mo calmly walked in front of old Master Zhao. He reached out and placed his hand on old Master Zhao's pulse. Right then, a treatment method was found. He just needed to inject spiritual energy, clear his brain. If it's blood stasis, that's enough. For Chin Mo, this is a piece of cake. Then Chin Mo turned to Zhao Chang. I need a live 100 poison centipede as a medicinal guide. As soon as he said this, the surrounding doctors were shocked. A live 100 poison centipede? That thing is extremely poisonous. How could this possibly cure the illness? Seeing this, Dr. Zhu shouted, with just these tricks of yours, you think you can deceive us professional doctors? Who doesn't know that the venom of the centipede is extremely toxic? Touch it, and you're dead. I have reason to suspect you are the enemy, sent to harm old Zhao. After hearing the doctor's words, Zhao Qing felt. His expression changed dramatically. Grandpa is high-ranking and powerful. So many people want to harm him. I didn't expect Chin Mo to come to kill. Then he pointed to the person from Chin Mo. Arrest him for me. No need to arrest me. I will walk myself. Chin Mothon walked out calmly and casually. But when he passed Zhao Qing, he stopped. If your grandfather is critically ill tonight, come see me with a humble apology. Inside the Long family's detention center, Chin Mo was locked up, in a cell full of vicious criminals. Upon seeing Chin Mo's arrival, the scar-faced man suddenly reached out and touched Chin Mo's chest muscles. Chin Mo jumped up in shock. What do you want to do? The scar-faced man had a wicked smile on his face. He pulled out a bar of soap from his pocket and threw it in front of Chin Mo. Little brother, my soap fell. Could you please pick it up? At this moment, they still didn't realize Chin Mo's strength. They want to use some underhanded tactics against Chin Mo. The screams coming from the cell brought a wicked smile to the watchful eyes outside the door. I wonder how long this newcomer can hold out. On the other side, the nurse from Longshore Hospital rushed over anxiously. Dr. Zhu, it's bad. The various indicators on the ECG are plummeting. Upon hearing this, Dr. Zhu and Zhao Qing were both shocked. Zhao Qing grabbed Dr. Zhu by the shoulders and shouted, didn't you tell me he had 1 more month? At this moment, Dr. Zhu's nervous body began to tremble. Many sudden complications in patients are beyond what doctors can predict. Zhao Qing helplessly pounded the wall. Is there really no way? Suddenly, he remembered what Chin Mo had said to him before leaving. If your grandfather is critically ill tonight, you must come to me in repentance and ask for forgiveness. Thinking of this trick, Zhao Qing hurriedly ordered the preparation of the 100 venom centipede, and then instructed people to go with him to the prison to meet Chin Mu. Long was outside the prison gate. A few prison wardens were sitting at the entrance playing chess to pass the time. Just at that moment, a military jeep stopped at the prison entrance, and they saw Zhao Qing in the car. Several prison guards quickly put away the chessboard and hurried inside. Where's the young man who was just brought in? Take me to see him quickly. The prison guard said nervously. We locked him in cell 002. Upon hearing this, Zhao Qing felt as if struck by lightning. Cell 002 is the most terrifying cell in all of Long City. The inmates inside are not only ruthless, but also have unusual preferences. When Zhao Qing learned this, he immediately ran towards cell 002, but when Zhao Qing saw the scene inside, he was completely stunned. He saw the vicious inmates inside. Some were pressing Qin Mo's back, some were fanning Qin Mo, others were performing for Qin Mo. Qin Mo looked pleased. He wasn't surprised to see Zhao Qing arrive. After returning to the hospital, Qin Mo immediately told Zhao Qing to prepare a single furnace. It had to be equipped with 99 kinds of premium herbs. Once everything was ready, Qin Mo struck a match with a swift motion. Then he tossed it out and shouted softly. In an instant, the alchemy furnace was ignited. The surrounding doctors were shocked at the sight. Could this be the long-lost alchemical fire control technique from the late Han dynasty? Zhao Qing watched Qin Mo's displayed strength. He secretly felt relieved. Maybe he really can save Grandpa. At this moment, Qin Mo formed a hand seal. He softly shouted, "Condense." Then, he struck the pill furnace with his palm. The herbs inside the furnace rose into the air. In an instant, they merged together, turning into a glowing pill. Qin Mo held the pill in his hand, and looked at Zhao Qing. The elixir has turned into liquid. Just take it together with the live poisonous centipede, and it will work. Watching the centipede writhing in the bowl makes one's skin crawl. Are we really going to make old Zhao take this? Zhao Qing glared angrily. Do you have a better solution right now? With that, he put the elixir and the poisonous centipede into old Zhao's mouth. Time is slipping away second by second. Everyone is nervously watching. Suddenly, the ECG showed a response. Seeing this, everyone felt mixed emotions. Some were joyful, while others were afraid. They saw the old man start to move. He slowly opened his eyes. Zhao Qing is a legendary soldier. At that moment, tears couldn't help but fall. Kneeling beside Grandpa Zhao, I cried out, "Grandpa, you finally woke up." Zhao Qing wiped the tears from her face. She recounted the process of saving Qin Mo. After hearing this, Zhao Beifeng's expression gradually turned to astonishment. I can't believe there's such a young man. The celestial master quickly go and invite the benefactor over. Seeing this, Qin Mo laughed heartily. Zhao Beifeng laughed loudly. I never expected that in my old age, I would witness such a shocking spectacle. At this moment, Zhao Qing also arranged for a way back. Sir, please accept this small token of gratitude for now. I will present other substantial gifts to express my thanks later. However, Qin Mo politely declined. A doctor's heart is filled with compassion. One must not be greedy for wealth. This was something Grandma Luo often taught him. Then, Qin Mo turned and left. Zhao Beifeng respected Qin Mo even more. Such noble character at such a young age. He thought to himself, my Zhao family must form a good relationship with this man. The next morning, bright and early, Zhang Yi brought a good news to Qin Mo. Mo, you're going to school tomorrow. The next day, he arrived at Huahai University as a transfer student. Upon seeing Qin Mo's arrival, the classmates all laughed, calling him a country bumpkin. Even the teacher thought he was just a rookie. Qin Mo had just found his seat, when a blonde guy walked up to him. In the next second, he kicked over Qin Mo's desk. Turns out the blonde guy is Su Yan's suitor. He heard from his underlings that Qin Mo and Su Yan are living together. This made the blonde guy furious. He even threatened Qin Mo to stay away from Su Yan. Otherwise, he'd break his legs. Seeing Qin Mo not resisting at all, the blonde guy became even more arrogant. They even want Qin Mo to serve them tea during the martial arts competition later. Soon, the opening ceremony of the martial arts tournament finally began. The audience erupted in enthusiastic cheers. Everyone was cheering for the contestants. They just hoped not to be completely defeated like in previous years, because the opponent was Longshi's #1 martial arts school. With the referee's whistle, the match began instantly. Little Kai Ji roared to boost her morale. Shuiji's life ended with a loud bang in battle. The second contestant, Xiao Yanjing, was defeated just as quickly. Next, Fa. Hai was even more gruesome to watch. He was knocked to the ground, begging for mercy. The little chubby guy with 7 consecutive wins became even more arrogant. Is this all you can do? You don't even have the qualifications to warm me up. At this moment, the audience was filled with shouts and curses. They had pinned their last hope on the blonde guy. But the blonde guy knew he was no match for the martial arts school. He was currently begging in front of the captain of the martial arts team like a sycophant. The captain of the martial arts team said irritably, if you want to save face, then first take care of my people. The blonde guy understood immediately. He shouted at Qin Mo, why aren't you going to get some water? An accident occurred just as Qin Mo handed water to the chubby boy. He accidentally knocked over the water bottle. It soaked the chubby boy. On his first day of school in the city, the boy was bullied by the school tyrants. Having endured it for so long, he finally exploded at the moment the towel hit his face. At that moment, the chubby boy looked at Qin Mo with increasing excitement. Let's fight on stage. You have to win. I kneel down and call you Grandpa. With the rise of the Qin dynasty, the competition starts again. But a wave of sighs erupted from the audience. Such a weakling going up is just a waste. I won't watch anymore. But the next moment, something unexpected happened. The pudgy guy who suddenly charged at Shin Mo was knocked to the ground with just one move. This scene left the referee completely stunned. Shin Mo taunted provocatively, "Who's next?" The boxing kid, not believing in defeat, jumped into the ring. But before he could move, Shin Mo's fist sent him flying out with a single punch. "Stop wasting time. Come at me together." Such an arrogant tone completely ignited the anger of the martial arts academy students. They all rushed toward Shin Mo in unison. But Shin Mo single-handedly knocked down everyone, shocking all the audience present. He also secured the victory in the martial arts competition for Huahai University. Not only did Su Yen change his opinion of him, but Shin Mo also gained a group of fans eager to become his disciples. Shin Mo, who thought he had escaped the attention of underclassmen, found himself in trouble once again. A girl suddenly walked up to him and shouted, "I won't give you my contact information. Can you stop following me?" The unexpected confrontation left Shin Mo completely stunned. The next morning, Shin Mo was taking Nichio for a walk in the park. He turned around, only to see Nichio running toward a girl. The girl waved the pancake in front of the milk ball. The milk ball wagged its tail and started eating. Unexpectedly, it just took a bite and spat it out. Shin Mo picked up the milk ball and quickly apologized. "The milk ball is just picky. It's not that your pancake is bad." The girl saw Shin Mo approaching. Her smile instantly disappeared. "Are you always this annoying? I already said I wouldn't give you any contact information. You actually used that cute little dog to get close to me. That's really low." The two misunderstandings left Shin Mo completely at a loss. But just then, a group of punks approached the two of them. The leader, with a pompadour, looked at the girl with ill intent. "You dare to hang up on me? Are you trying to get my attention?" The girl's name is Chen Wan. Her parents make a living for the three of them by running a pancake stall. Because she's too pretty, troublemakers often come to the stall to cause problems. And this guy with the slicked back hair always threatens her parents under the pretense of collecting protection fees. Chen Wan saw him harassing her parents again. She couldn't hold back and shouted, "Will you ever stop? Isn't smashing up my stall last time enough?" After getting scolded, the airplane head got even more excited. "And you're still not happy about it? I just love your little wildcat look." At that moment, Shin Mo suddenly stepped forward. He firmly grasped the airplane head's hand. His strong hand squeezed the airplane head. Cold sweat poured down. Tears were welling up in his eyes. But Shin Mo ignored Feiji and looked at Chen Wan, explaining, "I really didn't come to bother you." Then he turned to Feiji and said, "You just want to eat a pancake, right? I'll make it for you." Feiji glared at Shin Mo fiercely. "What the hell do you know how to make?" Shin Mo skillfully picked up the tools. Both Chen Ba and Chen Ma stood there stunned. In just a few minutes, a perfect pancake was made. The aroma instantly filled the entire street. For a moment, it attracted many passers-by. It was the first time they had smelled such a fragrant pancake. Just the smell alone was enough to make their mouths water. It made the little drone nearby crave it desperately. He urged Shin Mo to quickly give him the pancake. Then, all of a sudden, he threw it. The freshly made pancake landed directly on his face. Only a pig-like scream was heard. Seeing the boss getting hit, a few lackeys roared and charged at Shin Mo, shouting for him to get lost. This guy, Chen Wan, was so frightened that her face turned pale. She anxiously shouted at Shin Mo, "Run away quickly. They really will kill you." Unexpectedly, Shin Mo remained completely calm. He picked up a spatula and flipped out several pancakes. He directly threw it at their faces. "Come on, each person gets one. If that's not enough, there's hot pancakes to throw right in their faces." A few lackeys covered their faces and cried out in agony. Shin Mo walked up to the pilot and smiled, asking, "How's it going? Are you full?" The pilot, frightened, kept backing away, saying he was full. "I'm full, I'm leaving now." Then he was helped away by his little brother, limping alone. At this time, Shin Mo was still calling out from behind, "Customer, eat well and come back." Thinking about how he had embarrassed himself as the boss, he suddenly turned around and yelled angrily at Shin Mo, "You wait for me. I will definitely be back." Shin Mo helped the Chen family resolve their crisis. Mr. and Mrs. Chen kept thanking him. Chen Wan reluctantly said, "Dad, what is there to leak? Look at him wasting our family's good stuff." Actually, this isn't Chen Lan's fault. He grew up in a poor family, but because of his good looks, he attracted many wealthy suitors. It's just because he's seen too many tricks. Naturally, he's also disgusted by Shin Mo's way of pursuing him. But Shin Mo didn't take it to heart. He was still planning to practice his sword skills in the park. When Shin Mo arrived at the park, he pulled a huge sword out of his crotch in front of everyone. That crotch was basically like Doraemon's magic pouch. The sword is called Longhai. Spirits can recognize their master, and are extremely loyal. Shin Mo stood tall, wielding his sword. With 10 strikes, he slashed down from the sky. Each move flowed like a stream. At that moment, a man with a fierce expression arrived in the park, seeking revenge on Shin Mo. Seeing that Chin Mo had not left, the guy with the slicked back hair excitedly shouted, "Boss, it's him!" Chin Mo withdrew his sword. He frowned, "Haven't you had enough of those pancakes?" The guy with the leopard print glared at Chin Mo viciously. "You, a weakling like you, dare to touch me?" Chin Mo coldly replied, "I was the one who hit him. What are you going to do about it?" The guy with the leopard print raised 2 fingers at Chin Mo. "You beat my brother up like this. If you don't pay 200,000 today, don't even think about leaving." The onlookers in the park saw this and shook their heads, sighing that this kid was in big trouble. He actually offended the Tiger Martial Arts School. At this moment, Chin Mo suddenly realized, "I get it. You're trying to extort me." Then, a hint of killing intent appeared in Chin Mo's eyes. "What if I don't pay? If you don't pay, we'll make you until you do." With that, Little Leopard tightened his fists and lunged at Chin Mo. Chin Mo effortlessly dodged with a swift move, easily avoiding Little Leopard's barrage of punches. An old man, seeing the park surrounded by a crowd, walked over with his cane to join in the excitement. Upon witnessing the scene, the old man was immediately stirred. With a sudden movement, his clothes were instantly torn to shreds. He immediately took out the microphone, wanting to capture this spectacular fight scene. At that moment, Little Leopard Stripe clenched his fists again and charged at Chin Mo. It's still not too late to cry for mercy and ask for money, but Chin Mo remained unfazed. With one punch, he hit Little Leopard Stripe in the face, accompanied by a scream. Little Leopard Stripe fell to the ground and couldn't get up again. The onlookers around were in shock. No way, the top disciple of 5 boxing gyms just got knocked out with one punch? At that moment, Chin Mo looked at the fallen little spotted one. He muttered, "With such a big build, I didn't expect it to be so easy to take down." Then he revealed a harmless smile. He secretly glanced at the crew cut and asked, "Do you need me to help with anything else?" Seeing Chin Mo's mischievous smile, terrified, Fujitu and his group hastily fled the scene. Just as Chin Mo was about to leave, the old man stopped him in his tracks, clenching his fists. Chin Mo's eyes were full of admiration. "Thanks to you, I was able to create a great work that broke through my bottleneck. I feel a connection with you. He plans to give this painting to you." A group of people around cast envious glances. It said that any painting by Old Lu was worth tens of millions, but Chin Mo declined Old Lu's kind offer. He felt there was something flawed about those words. As soon as this was said, it shocked everyone present. The bearded man nearby came over to explain to Chin Mo, "Young man, you probably don't know. The person in front of you is the renowned master of traditional Chinese painting, Lu. Many people desire his paintings but cannot obtain them. As an enthusiast of traditional Chinese painting, and also a devoted fan of Lu, I absolutely will not allow anyone to casually criticize Lu's works." But Chin Mo snatched the painting from the man's hands. He immediately began to modify Old Lu's painting. When Chin Mo made the revised painting public, Old Lu was suddenly taken aback. This not only left the bearded man speechless, but also made Old Lu consider apprenticing himself to Chin Mo. But Chin Mo said he only had some painting skills. This instantly made Old Lu feel embarrassed. Just as Chin Mo was about to leave, Hu Zinan hurriedly chased after him. "Master Chin, I apologize for any offense just now. Please forgive me. May I ask for one of your paintings?" Not long after, a landscape painting was placed in Hu Zinan's hands. "This is amazing. Master Chin's skill and artistic conception are both top-notch. This is the gold card of the Tiangu Hotel. As long as you come, all our services are free. Please be sure to accept my sincere gesture." With that, she handed over the gold card. Just as Chin Mo was thinking that he wasn't interested in any hotel, Zhao Chang suddenly rushed over in a panic. "Mr. Chin, I finally found you. In 3 days, it will be grandfather's recovery banquet. I sincerely hope you can attend." 3 days later, Chin Mo attended Elder Zhao's recovery banquet. He happened to run into his classmate, Huang Mao. Huang Mao thought Chin Mo was working part-time, so he decided to humiliate him. As soon as he entered the banquet, he began ordering Chin Mo around. "Get me a glass of red wine." Chin Mo gave him a cold glance and poured him a drink. Seeing Chin Mo being humiliated under his control, almost made Blondie unable to contain his excitement. At that moment, Blondie had a sudden idea. Then he walked up to Chin Mo and spilled the entire glass of red wine on him. He immediately shouted, "Is the manager in? Look at what your waiter has done." The manager hurriedly apologized to the blonde guy. It was clear he recognized this wealthy second-generation heir. He turned to the waiter, who looked panicked. He couldn't help but scold, "What are you standing there for? Apologize to young Master Lu quickly." However, the blonde guy waved his hand smugly. With a pretentious appearance, "This is my classmate. Apologizing, right?" But then, they turned around and showed a wicked smile, pointing at their own feet. "But you have to kneel and help me clean it. This is Zhao Lao's rehabilitation banquet." Chin Mo didn't want to add more trouble, so he turned around and ignored the two. The lobby manager saw Chin Mo's attitude and directly scolded him, saying, "You're fired from the hotel. Now get out." At that moment, the door was suddenly kicked open. Old Zhao led a group of people, striding in quickly. He walked straight up to Qin Mo, then bowed. "Mr. Qin," Zhao was sorry for the distant greeting. "I hope you can understand." This made the entire banquet fall silent. Zhang stared wide-eyed at the unbelievable blonde. He was frozen in place. His face looked as bad as if he had eaten feces. What a distinguished identity teacher Zhao has. When has he ever bowed to anyone? Qin Mo smiled faintly and said, "It's fine." Mr. Zhao then shifted his anger toward the blonde and the others. Mr. Qin is a distinguished guest of the Zhao family. Whoever disrespects Mr. Qin is disrespecting the Zhao family, even if you're old Lu's grandson. I won't tolerate your arrogance. As for the lobby manager, old Zhao just greeted the hotel owner. He mentioned that the manager was incompetent. Then he was promptly thrown out of the hotel. Meanwhile, Qin Mo was respectfully treated as an honored guest by old Zhao. He even personally poured wine for him. The yellow-haired guy, on the other hand, curled up in a corner. He was completely ignored. He stared fixedly at Qin Mo. His eyes were filled with jealousy. At the banquet, many of the Dragon Clan big shots brought out their gifts. Elder Zhao revealed them one by one, but there was no joy on his face. He had received enough of these things. There was nothing to be happy about. At that moment, Huang Mao felt his opportunity. He then came before old Zhao and unrolled a painting. He claimed this was a gift from his grandfather to old Zhao. The guests marveled at this ink-wash painting. Seeing this, the blonde-haired boy was very pleased. He began to tell everyone about the painting's origins. "This is my grandfather. A few days ago, he happened to meet a young dancer who single-handedly battled dozens of disciples from the Tiger Family Martial Arts School and sent them fleeing in disarray." Their eyes were filled with admiration. Then they pointed at Qin Mo, wanting to see what gift he brought for old Zhao. They also wanted to take this opportunity to elevate Qin Mo in front of the guests. Qin Mo savored the red wine. He said lightly, "Isn't giving him a life enough?" As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was stunned. Even a fool could tell that old Zhao's illness was cured by this young man before them. The blonde-haired guy was naturally unconvinced. He continued, "What I'm talking about now is giving a gift. What do you mean coming here empty-handed?" At the end of the Qin dynasty, he glanced at him and said, "Even that painting your grandfather sent was guided by me. What are you so proud of?" All the guests laughed heartily after hearing this. Who doesn't know how impressive Lu Lao's landscape paintings are? Throughout the entire Huahai province, they are among the best. Regarding Qi Mo's arrogant words, the guests' impression of him also took a big hit. Before long, old Lu hurried over from outside, exhausted. Seeing this, old Zhao quickly went up to greet him. The two, who hadn't seen each other in a long time, exchanged pleasantries. But Huang Mao didn't want to miss the chance to humiliate Qingma. He smiled and stepped forward, saying, "Grandpa, just now someone claimed to have given you advice. Wasn't it funny?" Old Lu followed the direction pointed by his grandson. Just happened to meet Qin Mo's gaze. When I saw Qin Mo's face, I was startled. Immediately, I took a step forward and embraced Qin Mo. "Master Qin, it's been a while since we last met. To see you again today truly brings honor to my Lu family." Looking at Grandpa's attitude towards Qin Mo, the smile on Huang Mao's face instantly froze. His expression was like he had swallowed a mouthful of crap. It made him want to find a hole to crawl into right away. The boy had grown up living with his 5 eccentric grandparents in the forbidden zone of Huaxia, but later, he was taken back to the city by his mother's best friend. Although Jiang Yi treated Qin Mo well, his family didn't welcome him at all. This made Qin Mo decide to move back to live at school. Faced with Jiang Yi's repeated insistence, Qin Mo still smiled and declined his kindness. Early the next morning, Qin Mo arrived at the assigned dormitory. Big brother Luo Yang is a fitness enthusiast. Second brother Qian Di's family owns a mine. Third brother Wang Xiao is a university student from the countryside. He is very honest. Facing Qin Mo's arrival, the three welcomed him warmly. Qian Di even organized a social gathering for Qin Mo. Qin Mo wanted to refuse, but the two dragged him away. Soon they arrived at the Tianfu Hotel. Unexpectedly, they ran into Chen Wan here. When Chen Wan saw Qin Mo, he sighed helplessly. He didn't expect Qin Mo to be so persistent in pursuing him. It even caused a ripple effect. This way of doing things is too shameless. As several people walked into the hotel lobby, the girls were instantly attracted by a landscape painting. They were from the literature department, and they understood a bit about art. No doubt about it. This is a masterpiece level work. Just as a few people were happily singing, Xiandi's girlfriend suddenly said with a stern face, "I kindly convinced my roommate. And for the paranormal, you bring these losers?" She was very dissatisfied with her boyfriend's roommates, especially Qin Machuan's old-fashioned look. He obviously looks like a poor loser. Just then, the door to the private room was suddenly opened. A group of sharply dressed individuals stormed in. They were executives from Baishur Group. They had specifically chosen the Talent Hotel for their dinner today. Upon entering the room, they arrogantly looked at Qin Mo. You all get out quickly. This place is reserved for us. Xian stood up in bewilderment. We reserved this place first. But the hotel manager nearby smiled and said, Mr. Qian, they hold a silver card from Tianfu Hotel. At Tianfu Hotel, there are 2 types of cards, and even a silver card. Grants more privileges than a regular guest. It also gives them the right to use the private room at will. This is PepsiCo. Deputy General Manager Zhou Wang smiled and said, did you hear that? If you don't have money, then don't hang around here. The poor guy made Xian Di's face turn awkward. Leaving like this would really be embarrassing. Su Lily impatiently pulled Xian Di and walked out. Bringing your broke roommates here. Aren't you embarrassed enough? Hurry, let's go. At that moment, Qin Mo suddenly pulled out a gold card. Is this card from your hotel? This left everyone present dumbfounded. Who would have thought a poor kid could have a Tianfu Hotel gold card? Looking across the entire cage, you could count the people who have one on one hand. However, Su Lily couldn't accept the fact that the final relationship had a gold card. She muttered quietly, this gold card can't be fake, can it? Her words were overheard by an executive nearby. He immediately stood up and sneered, I think it's definitely fake. How could a gifted gold card be given to a poor student so casually? The manager beside him chimed in, that's right. Did you pick up this card? Or did you steal it? Then a group of security guards was called over. They were preparing to kick Qin Mo and the others out. At that moment, suddenly, a loud shout came, everyone stop. It was none other than Sun Xing, the owner of Tianfu Hotel. When the manager saw who it was, he quickly bowed, boss, why are you here? It's just a small matter. Sun Xing gave him a big slap. Mr. Qin is our hotel's VIP. You are so unreasonable. He then turned around and smiled at Qin Mo. You can come over, just notify me in advance, so I can go welcome you. Qin Mo said lightly that he just came to have a meal with his roommate. Your gift has already been sent to the lobby, I saw it. Everyone was stunned after hearing their conversation. They were completely shocked. Who is Sun Xin? Long is a boss who dominates both the black and white sides. Yet, someone like him is being so polite to Qin Mo. And the landscape painting displayed in the hall. Everyone thought it was the work of a master of Chinese painting. But little did they know, the artist was Qin Mo. At this moment, the manager stood beside Zhou Wang, smiling obsequiously, Mr. Zhou, would you like to switch to another room? By now, Zhou Wang was too humiliated to stay any longer. He roared at the manager to get lost. As he left, he was still filled with hatred towards Qin Mo. Zhou Wang, will remember this. After dinner, Qin Mo returned to the dormitory alone to cultivate. But he found that the spiritual energy in the city was too thin. Without the help of a foundation pill to assist in cultivation, he feared it would be difficult to break through the early stage of the assistance realm. The next morning, Qin Mo arrived at the front desk of Long Group's largest pharmaceutical company. Seeing Qin Mo's poor appearance made him displeased. He pointed at the prescription and said, are you sure you want these herbs? These cost tens of thousands of yuan per pound. Can you afford it? Qin Mo was completely dumbfounded. Over 100,000? At that moment, a cold voice came through. Even if you can afford it, I still won't sell it to you. The speaker was Zhou Wang, who had been humiliated by Qin Mo at the Talent Hotel. Zhou Wang felt extremely pleased. In Zhou Wang's eyes, Qin Mo was just a small fry. He then ordered everyone to kick Qin Mo out. Just as Qin Mo was leaving, a middle-aged man walked over with the support of a girl. The middle-aged man looked very weak, and he stumbled a bit as he walked. Zhou Wang saw the two of them and quickly greeted them. Miss Bai, you're here. It was Bai Xian, president of Baiha Pharmaceuticals, and his daughter Bai Yuan who had arrived. At this moment, Bai Xian weakly said, Xiao Zhou, is the doctor you called here yet? Zhou Wang hurriedly smiled and said, he'll be here soon. He'll be here soon. Bai Yuan immediately frowned. My dad is already this sick. You still want me to wait? The commoners hurriedly scolded, how rude. You can't be so disrespectful. At that moment, Qin Mo's voice sounded from behind them, I can save you, but I need some medicinal herbs. When Zhou Wang saw Qin Mo, he gritted his teeth in anger. Why hasn't this brat left yet? At that moment, Qin Mo calmly said, your illness is caused by overexertion. Your back nerves are severely damaged, which has affected the brain nerves, resulting in various symptoms of weakness. This left everyone stunned. This young man could determine the cause of the illness just by looking at the face, and even spoke in more detail than the hospital. Zhou Wang was furious after hearing this. He immediately ordered Qin Mo to leave, but was stopped by the nearby citizens. Zhou Wang was about to say something, but seeing the displeased expressions on their faces, he swallowed his words. Soon, a doctor in a white coat walked in. It was Dr. Zhu from Huahai Military Hospital. The common people excitedly welcomed him, not expecting him to come. Dr. Zhu was used to such scenes. After a polite response, he began to treat Baixing. Zhou Wang sneered as he watched the punk not far away with his lover. Just wait, you'll see. After a while, after Dr. Zhu finished examining Baixing, he was puzzled. At that moment, Shinmo's voice suddenly came through, Xiao Zhuzi. If you can't heal him, leave it to me. Everyone stared at Shinmo in shock, thinking he must be crazy. How dare he speak so rudely to Dr. Zhu? Zhou Wang couldn't hold back his anger after hearing that, and rushed forward to hit Shinmo. But at that moment, Dr. Zhu suddenly shouted to stop. He then approached Shinmo. With a smile, he said, Mr. Qin, I didn't expect to see you here. You should know that I would be here waiting for you. Isn't this slapping me in the face? His words left everyone stunned. Who doesn't know that Dr. Zhu is the most skilled doctor in Huaihai province? He's actually being so respectful to that kid. Zhou Wan's expression darkened at this moment. He had been fawning over Dr. Zhu for half a month, and now, he was publicly cursing him for Shinmo. But then he revealed a sinister smile. He was secretly contemplating his next plan. At this moment, a citizen cautiously asked Dr. Zhu about my illness. Dr. Zhu sighed repeatedly. Chronic strain. There's nothing I can do. If Mr. Qin can't treat it, I'm afraid no one in Huaihai can cure this illness. No one expected Dr. Zhu to have such a high regard for Shinmo. Naturally, Shinmo was suddenly elevated from the edge of the corner to a position of honor by everyone. Mr. Qin has troubled you. Shinmo suddenly twisted his face, scared by someone, and now my legs are weak. I need you, Zhou Wang, to come over and help me with a massage. Zhou Wang heard Shinmo's words. His mouth twisted in anger, but Bai Xing walked over and sternly said, it was wrong of you to act against Mr. Qin just now. Why aren't you hurrying to call him away? Zhou Wang could only hold back tears in his eyes. He obediently squatted on the ground, massaging Shinmo's legs. Shinmo occasionally scolded him, telling him to control his strength. Before long, Shinmo had Bai Xian lie down on the bed, preparing to start the treatment. Shinmo waved the silver needles in the air a few times, and suddenly, a small flame ignited at the end of one needle. Falling down gracefully, the patient let out a comfortable shout. Dr. Zhu trembled with excitement. Could this be the long-lost technique of live moxibustion? Before long, after acupuncture, the patient felt an unprecedented sense of relief. A chronic condition that had plagued them for years was cured by Shinmo. The patient was overwhelmed with excitement. Before Shinmo could say anything, he suddenly saw Zhou Wang stand up. His gaze is a bit cold and sinister. Bai Xian senses something is off. She looks at Zhou Wang warily, wondering what he wants to do. Suddenly, Zhou Wang pulls out a gun from his waist. I want you dead. I have no intention of letting you recover. With Zhou Wang's command, dozens of executives pull out their guns and aim at Chong. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for getting better today. I actually wanted to let you live a few more years in peace. But then, a cold voice came from the side. I saved your life. He Shiluan asked you to decide life and death. Zhou Wang turned around in anger. The gun suddenly pointed at Shinmo. Even at death's door, you still want to be a hero. Then I'll kill you first. Shinmo had mastered extraordinary skills from a young age. But now, someone had a gun pointed at his head. Shinmo looked at Zhou Wang. Calmly, he said, if you want my life, go ahead and try. These words completely ignited Zhou Wang's fury. He then angrily pulled the trigger. Shinmo reacted quickly. Several silver needles shot out from his hand. One of the silver needles blocked the bullet coming toward him. The remaining needles instantly flew toward Zhou Wang. All of them pierced into his various acupoints. Zhou Wang watched Shinmo approach him step by step. He couldn't help but roar, what are you waiting for? Quick, shoot! Shinmo is coming closer. Gently flicked a silver needle. The excruciating pain caused Zhou Wang to faint instantly. His will was completely broken. Many of the executives were thrown into panic. All of them surrendered to the overwhelming power of Shinmo's silver needles. Not long after, the police took everyone away. Only then did the crisis come to an end. Bai Xian wanted to repay Shinmo. Not only did they let Shinmo take any medicine he wanted from the Baiha pharmacy, they also gave Shinmo 15 million as a consultation fee. Even their daughter Bai Yueran was given to Shinmo as an apprentice. With his first pot of gold in life, Shinmo wanted to buy himself a car. Owning a sports car is probably the dream of most boys. The next morning, Shinmo and Bai Yueran arrived together at Cheiyu, one of Long's top 3 supercar dealerships. The dealership salesperson saw the two of them enter, and immediately looked annoyed. Why did two broke students come in here? You two can look all you want, but don't touch anything. If you break something, you can't afford to pay for it. Bai Yueran felt furious upon hearing this. He rolled up his sleeves, ready to teach him a lesson. But Shinmo stopped him just in time. At that moment, a friendly young salesperson walked over with a smile. "May I introduce some car models to you too?" The older woman sneered, like a veteran looking down on a novice. But Chin Mo didn't even need an introduction. "I'm going to finalize a Lamborghini." The old woman saw this, and her eyes turned green with envy. She quickly ran over and pushed the intern aside. "Hey, young man, do you want a Lamborghini? Let me introduce you. I'm the most experienced salesperson here." Chin Mo shot back directly. "Just stay there. Your face looks like the Tibetan plateau. Don't be an eyesore here." The old woman turned purple with rage after hearing this. "Who do you think looks like the Tibetan plateau? If you don't let me introduce someone to you today, I'll find someone to beat you up." The intern beside her said worriedly. "Why not let Sister Wang recommend someone for you? Otherwise, it'll be a hassle." Bai Yuan curled her lips. With an expectant look, she said, "What I fear the least is trouble." The older woman gritted her teeth in frustration upon hearing this. She immediately ran to the side and made a phone call. It seemed like she wanted to have it out with Chin Mo. "Honey, someone is bullying me. Still want to assault me? Hurry up and come." Chin Mo completely ignored him. He directly settled on that 8 million won. The gold and silver are about to collapse. However, it still needs some adjustments. The intern stood there in shock. "This is the world's top supercar. Are you sure you want to modify it?" Just then, the door was suddenly kicked open. A group of burly men walked in. The old woman, upon seeing this, only cried to Chin Mo, saying, "Husband, they're the ones trying to bully me." The man, after hearing this, he picked up a stick and swung it at Bai Yuan, shouting, "Die, you bastard." This scene caused different expressions to appear on everyone's faces. The intern covered his face in fear. The old woman wore a triumphant smile. But in the next second, the man's swinging stick suddenly froze in midair. Seeing this, the old woman became arrogant. She said, "Husband, why are you just standing there? Hurry up and cripple them. They're so annoying to look at." At this moment, the man was already terrified beyond recognition. He had clearly recognized Bai Yuan. The old woman, seeing he still hadn't acted, gave him a push from behind. Unexpectedly, he was rewarded with a huge blow. He was sent flying dozens of meters away. The man roared in anger, "Are you trying to get me killed?" The old woman covered her face. Just as she was about to curse at the man, she saw something unbelievable. Bai Yu was pointing a gun at the man. He said coldly, "Who did you say doesn't want to live?" The man was drenched in cold sweat from fear. He immediately knelt down and confessed, "It's me. It's me. I've grown tired of living. I was blind and couldn't recognize greatness. I offended Miss Yuan. Please spare my pathetic life." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked and speechless. So she's actually the young lady of the Baishar group. You should know that the Baishar group has a monopoly on the critical businesses of the Long family. Their assets exceed 10 billion. At this moment, the old woman felt like she was in an ice cave. It's all over now. So many people are trying to curry favor with her, but I've offended her instead. At that moment, Bai Yuan coldly said, "You can get lost." The little punk felt like he had been granted amnesty. He was thinking about leaving here immediately, but his legs were tightly held by the old woman. The little punk immediately shouted, "Get away, you wasteful woman. Get as far away from me as you can." At this moment, Chin Mo looked at Bai Yuan with curiosity. "Where did you get that gun?" Bai Yuan smiled proudly. "Ever since Zhou Wang caused a ruckus, my dad gave me one." "Master, do you want one?" A top-tier $1 million supercar in the hands of a boy is simply taken apart and reassembled, and the result is a transformation worth tens of millions. Just a moment ago, a high-quality human male walked into the car dealership with a swagger that disowned all kin. Seeing Chin Mo was just a youngster, he immediately burst into laughter. "So you want to modify a car, right?" Chin Moan nodded seriously, but when he saw the car Chin Moan wanted to modify, his expression changed drastically. "A Lamborghini? Are you kidding me? There's no need to modify a top-tier supercar like this. Who can change this?" Chin Mo had a look that suggested he was dealing with a weakling. "Are you saying it can't be modified?" The high-quality man felt belittled. He was suddenly a bit irritated. "I think you're just looking for trouble. Who can modify a top-tier sports car like this?" Chin Mo abruptly pushed the man aside. "Shut up, all of you are like this. Even if you're not annoyed, I am. Manager, bring out the best parts in the store. I'll do the modifications." Once said. The high-quality men immediately mocked. "This is hilarious. If you can fix this model, I'll cover all the modification costs." Yet Chin Mo revealed a triumphant smile. Moments later, the onlookers were stunned. After Chin Mo's modifications, the supercar, originally worth millions, turned out to be worth tens of millions. Such skill is something even world-class tuners might not achieve. The crowd of onlookers went wild. They all took out salaries worth millions to hire Chin Mo. Just then, The high-quality man wanted to sneak away, but he was pulled back by Yueran. Before you leave, let's settle the cost of these accessories. It's just over 3 million. Hearing his money just fly away, the high-quality man's heart shattered. But on the way back, Shin Mo and Yueran suddenly blushed and said to Shin Mo, "Do you want to come to my house? My house is empty. I want you to help me with something." Hearing Yueran's words, Shin Mo couldn't help but swallow. This was definitely an invitation. Then two little figures appeared in his mind. Grandpa Song taught him to be upright. Refuse that girl. But Grandma Luo told him not to listen to that old guy. Quickly take this girl. At this moment, who should he listen to? Of course, he should listen to Grandma Luo. Listening to Grandpa Song would be foolish. Yueran was excited. She hugged Shin Mo. I just knew the master would be willing to help me fix the car. As soon as these words came out, they shattered Shin Mo's beautiful fantasies. Screw you. Shin Mo kicked Yueran out. Then, she drove off immediately. Returning to school, Shin Mo parked the car in a spot not far from the dormitory. After returning to the dorm, Shin Mo began to refine the elixir. Just as Shin Mo was refining the elixir, a polite man in glasses walked over. Shin Mo, I heard you were refining medicine. I wanted to come and take a look. The man in glasses was named Li Xiang. He was a junior in the medical department. His family had been in the medical profession for generations. Shin Mo smiled and nodded at him. He did not refuse. Li Xiang didn't look down on Shin Mo because he was an athlete. On the contrary, he occasionally asked Shin Mo some questions. Shin Mo patiently answered Li Xiang's queries. Just then, Chen Di suddenly pushed the door open. You guys come and take a look. There's a heavily modified Lamborghini downstairs. It's simply stunning. Those curves and that bodywork. It's just impossible to look away. Wang Xiana and Luo Chang were instantly starstruck. Where is it? Take us to see it, Xian Di said with a sincere look on his face. If someone could help me with it, I would even call him Dad. Just at that moment, a shiny big car key appeared in front of Xian Di. Shin Mo casually said, since you like it so much, just take it and drive. Everyone in the dorm was completely stunned. Xian Di thought he was the richest in the dorm, but it turned out Shin Mo was the real deal. Dad, I'm back to give you a grandson. After saying that, he dashed out. By this time, the Lamborghini was already surrounded by a crowd of fans. At the front of the crowd, he touched the Lamborghini. Suddenly, he felt that his Audi A8 was just a tiny car. Wow, this car is so cool. Lu Xiaoli couldn't help but take out his phone for a selfie with the luxury car. Su Yanzhang glanced around. He saw that the classmates were all focused on the car. They didn't notice him. He quietly took out his phone and secretly snapped a photo with the luxury car. Just then, Xian Di walked up to the car, holding the car key, striding with what he thought was an impressive swagger. Huang Mao and the others were instantly dumbfounded. They had long heard that the Qian family was rich, but they didn't expect them to be this rich. Xian Di and the others enjoyed the astonished gazes of the crowd. Without saying a word, they closed the car door and vanished from sight. Shin Mo had no idea what was happening outside. He placed the pills he had refined into a box, and then stored them in a cabinet. Just as Shin Mo left, Li Xiang quietly slipped into his dormitory. Then, he secretly opened the cabinet. He took out a small vitality pill and swallowed it. After a moment, Li Xiang's body started trembling uncontrollably. He was instantly filled with power. Staring at the box full of pills, greed filled Li Xiang's eyes. But he doesn't know that this thing will cost him his life. On the weekend, Chen Wan arrived at the pancake stand early to sell. Because she is the belle of the literature department, Chen Wan is also known as the pancake shishir. As a result, her business became particularly popular. Many nearby stalls looked down on this. Just then, the guy with the airplane head appeared with a group of people, looking aggressive. Right after that, a heavy slap landed on the pancake griddle. That brat! I'm going to take his life today. Hand him over quickly. At this moment, Chen Wan kindly reminded him. Your hand. Only then did the guy with the airplane head notice that his hand had already caught fire. Damn it, how dare you set me up? The little brother beside him looked helpless. Didn't you press it yourself, damn it? At this moment, Chen Wan was scared, but she still chose not to betray Shin Mo. The crew cut saw this and revealed a vicious expression. You don't know, do you? If you don't know, just smash it for me. After saying that, he kicked over the pancake stall. Chen Wan, who wanted to intervene, was rewarded with a big hole in the ground. Seeing their livelihood, the pancake stall, being destroyed, Chen Wan's parents shed helpless tears. The surrounding stall owners, more than a dozen of them, were all watching gleefully, and a middle-aged woman selling pancakes was clapping and cheering on the side. Just as Chen Wan was feeling sad and helpless, suddenly, a handkerchief was handed to her. Stop crying, wipe your tears first, leave the rest to me. After all, this started because of me. The guy with the slick back hair saw Shin Mo arrive, and was thrilled. Kid, I've finally been waiting for you. Then, everyone leaped up, charging toward Chin Mo. But all they heard were a few booms. As Chin Mo hadn't even finished warming up, he knocked everyone to the ground. The guy with the slick back hair shouted angrily at Chin Mo, "Just you wait. The heads of the 5 martial arts schools won't let you off." Chin Mo's face darkened upon hearing this. If they can produce trash like you, it's clear they aren't good people either. Tell them that I, Chin Mo, will pay them a visit in 2 days. Inside the Chen family's small house, the whole family is still heartbroken over Guangdong's matter. This has suddenly cut off the household's main source of income. Chin Mo spoke to Chen Wan, who was sitting in the corner. "Let me buy you a car. You can start doing business again." But tears once again flowed from the corners of Chen Wan's eyes. "It's useless. Even with a new car, we can't make money, because our business was doing so well before. Our stall was pushed out by others, especially that loud woman named Lu Bojiao. She contacted others to exclude my family. There's only coarse corn at home now. We can't make anything." But Chin Mo was full of confidence. "Coarse cornmeal is enough. I will teach you how to make it." The next morning, as everyone was relieved that no one was stealing their business, in the blink of an eye, Chen's pancakes appeared across the street. Chin Mo and Chen Wan were shouting loudly in front of the stall. Seeing this scene, Lu Bojiao and the others were directly stunned, their mouths agape. But then Lu Bojiao showed a look of disdain. "They don't even have dough. Let's see what they can make with that." At that moment, Chen Ba pulled out a sack of coarse corn from the car. Lu Bojiao was completely shocked after seeing this. "Isn't this coarse corn meant for feeding pigs? How could it be for people to eat?" Many curious classmates wanted to try some, but upon hearing Lu Bojiao's words, they couldn't help but look at the Chen family with disdain. High-quality ingredients often only require simple cooking. As Chen Ba sprinkled some chopped green onions and smeared on sauce, the enticing aroma quickly spread throughout the small world. The classmates who had just left were drawn back by the smell. At this moment, they all secretly thought, "If pigs can eat something this delicious, I'd be willing to turn into a pig too." When the other classmates saw this, they didn't care if it was pig slop or not. They all started rushing to get some. In no time, the whole snack street was crowded with classmates. The Chen family's pancakes have formed a long queue of hundreds of meters. Even a few classmates in front of Lu Bojiao's stall rushed towards Chen's stall. That night, after Chin Mo returned to the dormitory, she received a call from Chen Wan to thank Chin Mo for her help. She wanted to invite her to watch a movie together. Good things come to those who know. Chin Mo immediately agreed. This made Chin Mo's group incredibly envious. At that moment, Chin Mo suddenly thought that she couldn't forget to cultivate. But when she opened the cabinet, she found it completely empty. She couldn't help but ask her brother. "Third brother, did you move my things in the cabinet?" Huang Xiao and Luo Yang shook their heads in response. Chin Mo scanned their eyes and found that they weren't lying. But who could have stolen it? To Chin Mo, it wasn't valuable, but if an ordinary person ingested it, they would become clear-headed for a time, and their body would become extraordinary. But afterward, they would inevitably wither and die. Just then, Xian Di suddenly pushed the door open and entered. "Big news, big news. Have you heard? Li Xiang, a third-year senior from the medical department, has developed a pill that can change human functions." Chin Mo's face turned ashen upon hearing this. It seems Li Xiang must have stolen it. He had taught him the alchemy knowledge without any reservations. The elixir was instead stolen by him. It seems I was still too kind-hearted. Today, Huahai University is especially lively. It's all to welcome Li Xiang's return. Chin Mo saw thousands of crazy classmates. He shook his head helplessly. People in this world are much more ignorant than he imagined. At this moment, a voice came. "Isn't that Senior Chin Mo, who fought 7 opponents in the competition? Are you here to chase stars too?" Senior Li Xiang is also Su Yan's idol. Chin Mo replied, "I'm here to get back my elixir. Li Xiangda is using the elixir I refined." At this moment, Su Yan sarcastically said, "Chin Mo, you really have some ambition. You have no ability and still want to bask in Senior Li Xiang's glory." Chin Mo just curled his lip at this, too lazy to explain. At this moment, a bus stopped in front of everyone. Li Xiang made his grand entrance as the last one, instantly becoming the center of attention. Surrounded by countless junior girls, one could say he was riding high. Suddenly, Chin Mo appeared in front of Li Xiang, coldly saying, "Give me back my elixir." Li Xiang's expression froze at the words, but he still maintained a smile. "Do we know each other? And if there's nothing else, please step aside." "Fine, when something happens later, don't come begging me on your knees," Chin Mo said lightly, then turned and left. Chin Mo didn't care about that little bit of elixir anyway. Li Xiang's decision to seek death has nothing to do with him, but Chin Mo suddenly thought of something. If Li Xiang gives the elixir to someone else, it could kill a large number of teachers and students at the school. Their lives are innocent. Thinking of this, Chin Mo immediately turned around and rushed toward Li Xiang. At this moment, Li Xiang was showcasing the little black yuan dan. and was expressing gratitude for his mentor's guidance. He even specially presented a pill. Just as Professor Lin was about to take the pill, the door of Li Tang was suddenly kicked open. "You can't take this pill." He waved the medicine away. Qin Mo's words echoed throughout the auditorium. After a brief moment of shock, everyone burst into laughter. Wasn't that the fool who blocked the road just now? A sports student. He's got something wrong with his head. At this moment, Professor Lin spoke up. "Did you see that? If my students were this brainless, I'd feel like my life was a waste." As he spoke, he provocatively swallowed the pill right in front of Qin Mo. Instantly, Professor Lin's eyes sparkled. He was ecstatic after feeling the power. "This is practically a miracle drug, not to mention death. I feel like I could live another 500 years without a problem." But he could never have imagined what awaited him was death by exhaustion. Meanwhile, the students below also noticed Professor Lin's physical changes, and thought Qin Mo was an idiot. Qin Mo swept his cold gaze across the thousands of students in the hall. "You will pay the price for your ignorance." With that, he calmly walked away. Afterward, Qin Mo drove to the Bai family estate. Bai Yueran had been waiting at the door for a while. As soon as Qin Mo got out of the car, Bai Yueran excitedly hugged him. This made Qin Mo blush. Then Qin Mo pretended to cough twice, and quickly walked into the Bai family estate. In the courtyard of the Bai family, a middle-aged man and an elderly man are fiercely engaged in an intense battle. After a long while, Bai chuckled and said, "Oldly, you truly deserve the title of master in Chinese medicine. Your Go skills are also exceptional." Li Yanhua chuckled and waved his hand. Just know a little. He appeared modest, but a hint of pride still showed between his brows. At this moment, Bai Yueran walked over, gently holding Qin Mo. Seeing this, Bai Xian was overjoyed. "Mr. Qin has arrived. Why didn't you notify us in advance?" Then Bai Xian began to introduce Li Lao. "This is the young man I told you about who cured my stubborn illness, Qin Mo." Li Yanhua looked at Qin Mo, so young, with a hint of disdain in his eyes. "I heard you cured Bai Xing's stubborn illness with acupuncture. May I take a look?" Qin Mo gave a slight nod. In an instant, several silver needles flew out of Qin Mo's hand. The needles ignited upon landing on Bai Xing's back. Bai Xing's back seemed to catch fire. In no time, Bai Xing felt much more at ease. Qin Mo then retrieved the silver needles. Li Yanhua stood up excitedly upon seeing this. "It's actually fire wine. Forgive my boldness. Who is your master?" Qin Mo calmly replied, "I taught myself." Panic set in. Grandpa and Grandma had strictly ordered me never to reveal their existence. Otherwise, it would bring about a deadly disaster. This made Li Yanhua look at him with admiration. He truly is a genius master. At this moment, Bai Qing teased Li Lao, saying, "Isn't your grandson a genius as well? The extraordinary pill he recently refined is truly remarkable." Hearing the praise from the common people, Li Yanhua's face was filled with pride. Suddenly, Qin Mo coldly asked, "Is your grandson named Li Xiang?" Li Yanhua was taken aback. He nodded slightly. Qin Mo coldly pointed at him and said, "Please tell Li Xiang, this is my last warning to him. His elixir was stolen from me. If an ordinary person takes it, they will surely bleed from all orifices within a week. They will definitely die. The Li family should take care." After saying this, Qin Mo turned and left, leaving Li Yanhua stunned. The boy grew up living with 5 eccentric grandparents in a restricted area of Huaxia. After Qin Mo grew up, he was taken back to the city by his mother's best friend. Having learned various skills, he failed to see the malice in people's hearts. He innocently explained the problems he encountered in alchemy to Li Xiang. Little did he know, just as Qin Mo left the dormitory, Li Xiang entered the room and stole the pills he had just made. However, what Li Xiang didn't know was that these few small pills would cost him his life. After Qin Mo informed Grandpa Li Xiang about this matter, he left Baijia. On the night of Lu Xiaoli's birthday party, many people had already arrived at the hotel early. When Huang Mao and the others learned that Qin Mo was coming, they couldn't help but laugh, saying, "Look at that country bumpkin, Qin Mo. He will definitely be taking the bus here." At that moment, a strong wave of sound suddenly came from the street. A Lamborghini appeared before everyone, but the person who got out of the car left everyone stunned. Su Yan stood there, dumbfounded. How could it be Qin Mo? The blonde quickly seized the opportunity to humiliate Qin Mo. He walked over to mock him. "Qin Mo, you don't have to borrow your roommate's sports car just to save face. If you want to drive a luxury car, you can borrow mine." The guys around the blonde nodded in agreement, saying, "Yeah, exactly. If you're broke, don't try to show off." Only Su Yan frowned at those words, wondering if she had hurt Qin Mo's pride. Maybe that's why he borrowed the car. But Qin Mo ignored everyone's ridicule and walked straight up to Lu Xiaolin to give her the birthday gift he had carefully prepared. This made Huang Mao, standing nearby, furious. "Qin Mo, how dare you get so close to Lu Xiaolin? Just wait until Brother Jun deals with you." As he was thinking that, the door suddenly opened, and a man in a military uniform walked in. This person is named Long Jun. He was born into a family of military generals. He grew up in the same compound as Lu Xiaolin. He has liked Lu Xiaoli since childhood. He once single-handedly disabled over 40 pursuers. Seeing Long Jun's arrival, Huang Mao revealed a wicked smile. Just wait, some people are about to have bad luck. Long Jun was originally planning to happily send his blessings to Lu Xiaoli, but he suddenly saw Lu Xiaoli looking up and smiling at that boy. I can't tolerate this, absolutely can't tolerate it. Dare to steal my Long Jun's woman. You must die today. However, Qin Mo curiously looked at the man with a fierce expression. Big brother, what's wrong with you? Big brother, you brat called me big brother. Do you think you're some kind of heartthrob? Or are you saying I'm a cradle robber? Then he immediately threw a punch at Qin Mo, but all you heard was a bang. Qin Mo effortlessly caught Long Jun's punch. The guests were all dumbfounded. After all, Long Jun was a top soldier. That punch could have killed a tiger. Long Jun gently picked him up in front of Qin Mo. It was the first time he felt powerless. Qin Mo looked at him. Coldly, he said, this disruptive banquet is indeed a bit excessive. If you want to fight, wait until the birthday banquet is over. Just then, Lu Xiaoli shouted angrily at Long Jun. I didn't invite you. If you keep causing trouble, then get out of my birthday party. Long Jun was stunned. For a moment, he had no choice but to temporarily swallow his frustration. He'd settle this later. As the birthday party continued, Long Jun suddenly smiled and said, Xiaoli, look at what I've prepared for you. A foreign man walked in with an elegant stride. Everyone present was stunned, especially Lu Xiaoli's teachers and students. Mr. Smith. He is one of the world's top fashion designers. A big figure leading trends in the fashion industry. Smith walked straight up to Lu Xiaoli, the beautiful lady. This is a dress I had custom made just for you. When Lu Xiaoli put on the gown, she looked like a goddess descending from heaven, capturing the attention of everyone present. The design of the dress was impressive, but Qin Mo still saw a few flaws in it. Xiaoli, you look so beautiful in it. She looked just like a fairy. Suddenly, a guest accidentally bumped into Su Yan. Su Yan's red wine spilled out instantly. It splashed all over Lu Xiaoli's clothes. Su Yan panicked in an instant. Xiaoli, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Lu Xiaoli stared blankly at her beloved clothes. Tears started falling down. Long Jun couldn't stand seeing Lu Xiaoli cry. He quickly said to Smith, Mr. Smith, could you make another one? I'll pay double. But Smith coldly shook his head. For this kind of dress, I only make one a month. These are my principles for fashion design: intimacy and respect. Long Jun noticed that Smith was unwilling to act. He immediately turned his attention to Su Yan. Look at the good things you've done. Do you know how difficult it was for me to invite Mr. Smith? You've ruined everything. With Long Jun leading the charge, everyone also pointed their fingers at Su Yan. They scolded him briefly. Su Yan kept his head down. He kept repeating his apologies. Just then, Qin Mo in the corner slowly walked over with a glass of red wine. It's just a piece of clothing. I thought it was a big deal. Just as everyone was confused about what Qin Mo was doing, Qin Mo suddenly reached into the wine glass, dipped his fingers in the wine, and splashed it on Lu Xiaoli's clothes, then started drawing. Long Jun, seeing this, exploded with anger. What the hell are you doing? Qin Mo continued drawing, saying, you better shut up. Long Jun clenched his fist, ready to punch Qin Mo. At this moment, Lu Xiaoli suddenly said, Long Jun, let Qin Mo paint. After all, the clothes are already ruined. Lu Xiaoli is the host of the banquet. Everyone naturally listens to him. But the crowd looked at Qin Mo with increased disgust. People were cursing. Qin Mo paid no mind. He was seen pouring red wine slowly onto the dress. Smith stood by, staring blankly at the young man from the east. His gaze grew deeper. At that moment, Lu Xiaoli stopped crying. Gradually, a look of surprise appeared on her face. The guests nearby were also gradually mesmerized. Lu Xiaoli's gown seemed to reveal a painting. It was a soaring crane, alive and vivid amidst the clouds and mist. Smith exclaimed excitedly, my God! This is simply art. Art from Huaxia. At that moment, Qin Mo smiled and asked, do you like it? Lu Xiaoli nodded heavily. I like it a lot. This is the happiest moment of my day. Not far away, Long Jun heard Lu Xiaoli's gratitude toward Qin Mo. He clenched his fists tightly. Lu Xiaoli. She had never shown him such a happy smile. This made him feel jealous. Smith immediately ran up to Qin Mo and asked, may I get this outfit? I'm willing to pay any price. Qin Mo gave him a faint glance. Coincidentally, I only make one per month. The guests, upon hearing Qin Mo's words, quietly praised him. Qin Mo's domineering answer was just too long. The spirit of the Huaxia people. As the banquet ended and everyone left, Su Yan walked up to Qin Mo with her head down. She awkwardly said thank you. Qin Mo smiled and shook his head. She is Jiang Yi's daughter. He had to help her out of both affection and reason. In an instant, the guests surrounded Qin Mo. They all gave him a thumbs up. However, seeing this, Wang Mao and Long Jun were furious. They ground their teeth at Qin Mo. I won't let this go. After the banquet, Qin Mo returned to the dormitory. At that moment, Wang Shao handed him a letter. The letter said it was for tomorrow at noon. The Battle of the 5 Martial Arts Schools. Signed, Hu Xiaotian. The strength of these characters is extraordinarily robust. Indeed, they are much stronger than the likes of Xiao Bao and others. However, Qin Mo didn't take it to heart. Just as well, he had just refined a new Peiyuan Dan. He could use it to enhance his cultivation first. After taking the small Peiyuan Dan, Qin Mo immediately sat cross-legged. He started circulating his energy. The little Peiyuan pill continuously provided spiritual power. Qin Mo felt as if his body was burning. He began sweating profusely. Xian Di seemed to notice something. Look at fourth brother's face. Someday, let's take him out for some fun. Suddenly, Qin Mo opened his eyes wide. A wild wind suddenly swept through the dormitory. Luo Yang noticed this. He hurriedly closed the doors and windows. He has reached the mid-stage of foundation building. Qin Mo looked at himself excitedly. He felt the changes in his body and inner strength with his hands. This is the power of the mid-stage of foundation building. If Grandpa Long sees this, he will probably be very happy. The next day, many people gathered at the 5 martial arts schools to watch the competition. But no one had high hopes for this young man, Qin Mo, because the head of the school, Hu Xiao, is a monster with a 356-match winning streak in life and death battles. At this moment, the doors of the 5 martial arts schools opened. Seeing the arrival of Hu Xiaotian, the crowd of onlookers became particularly excited. A man with a fierce expression walked over, baring his teeth. The first thing he did upon arriving was to drop a saw that blocked the door, leaving only an entrance the size of a dog door. The crowd, witnessing this scene, couldn't help but gasp in astonishment. Hu Xiao explained to everyone, don't panic. This is a trial for the challenger. If he can't pass it, what qualifications does he have to be in our eyes? What I want is a proper match, not a child's play. The disciples of Hu Xiaotian echoed from the side. What the master said is right. I want to be a challenger to Senior Tiger. If I don't have some strength, what right do I have to stand in front of him? And this giant stone tablet weighs 1,000 pounds. However, everyone noticed that at the very bottom of the huge stone tablet, there was a small dog left behind. Seeing this, Little Leopard coldly smiled and said, Master, your move is too ruthless. Then even if it comes at the end of the Qin dynasty, there's no way to advance, nor to retreat. At this moment, Hu Xiaotian said angrily, Disciples, if you had any ambition, I wouldn't have to exert this effort, but boldly laying hands on my disciples. If they come, I'll take care of them. At this moment, a sudden sound of footsteps came from outside the door. The crowd of bystanders all looked over simultaneously. Everyone wanted to see how this challenger would face the test from Master Hu. Would they shrink back like a coward or? At this moment, Hu Xiaotian's face was covered in a bloody smile. They wanted to see Qin Mo make a fool of himself, but a shocking scene unfolded before them. Qin Mo, using the cave entrance, lifted a 1,000-pound stone tablet with one hand. Inside, it was already filled with people. Qin Mo wondered, did everyone enter like this? Then, he effortlessly placed it back down. It turns out, martial arts schools in big cities are something else. The door is like this. These casual words stunned everyone present. At this moment, Hu Xiaotian clapped his hands and looked at Qin Mo with a smile. A rogue, huh? You are indeed qualified to fight me. But before we start, let me say one more thing. This young man here, you injured my martial arts disciples. Your methods were extremely vicious. What grudge do you have against the Hu family martial arts school? Wu Xiaotian is saying all this to create public pressure on Qin Mo. He wants to gain a psychological advantage. The clueless onlookers began criticizing Qin Mo. But at this moment, Qin Mo retorted that the Wu family martial arts school's disciples bully the weak and oppress women, and cause trouble everywhere. Why don't you mention any of that? I came here today to advise you to restrain yourselves, but you turned around and bit me instead, so I have no choice but to teach you a lesson. Wu Xiaotian was momentarily stunned upon hearing this. Then he burst into laughter. Ha ha, what a bold move. Teach me? Let's see how you plan to teach me. Hu suddenly dashed towards Qin Mo. Go ahead, kiddo. Victory or defeat is decided in an instant. With a roar from Hu Xiaotian, he threw a punch at Qin Mo. Looking at the approaching fist, Qin Mo remained calm. Having just broken through to the mid-stage of foundation establishment, I'll use you for some practice. With a loud boom, the moment the fist arrived, Qin Mo's figure suddenly vanished from where he stood. Right after, Hu Xiaotian unleashed his tiger prowls the forest move. But Qin Mo easily dodged it. The onlookers were visibly shocked. This kid actually avoided the sect master's attack in midair. But Hu Shaotian didn't give Qin Mo a chance to catch his breath. However, the flurry of punches seemed like child's play to Qin Mo. Hu Shaotian, seeing this, at that moment, he unleashed his ultimate move. A punch descended from the sky, aiming straight for Qin Mo. The fists met head-on. In the moment of violent collision, everyone felt the ground tremble. With a wicked smile, Hu Shaotian looked at Qin Mo and reminisced. Given your decent talent, I'll allow you to join my boxing gym. I've got your back. You can do whatever you want in the entire Dragon City. But Qin Mo refused me sternly, saying he wouldn't sink to your level. Is that really all the strength you have? I was actually looking forward to it. Such a brazen attitude instantly enraged Hu Shaotian. An ungrateful little punk. Truly, you don't know how to appreciate a toast. After a drink of punishment, a heavy punch struck Qin Mo. Suddenly, Qin Mo widened his eyes and said, I've already given you a chance. It seems that your Hu family gym really has no reason to exist. Immediately, Qin Mo took off in a sprint. Then he leaped into the air. He charged towards Hu Shaotian. However, Hu Shaotian still hadn't realized the seriousness of the situation. In the next second, Hu Shaotian only felt a sharp pain in his arm. With a loud boom, the whole person was slammed to the ground by Qin Mo. Everyone was completely stunned. This is truly terrifying. With a single strike, he instantly killed Hu Shaotian. Master was defeated. Even his arm was crippled. At this moment, Qin Mo's voice echoed through the entire dojo. Anyone else who dares to bully the weak like he did, or incite their followers to commit violence, will bear the consequences themselves. At this moment, Tiger Xiaotian's disciples were already terrified, kneeling here. This wasn't even a fight. It was more like a one-sided crushing. The next night, Long Jun and Huang Mao found Wang Dali. He wants me to take out a student. Wang Dali confidently said, leave it to me. Don't worry, yesterday I watched a match at the Tiger Boxing Gym. A young fighter knocked out Tiger Xiaotian with a single move. I immediately learned that move. Awesome. That Qin Mo kid is doomed. These words happened to be overheard by Su Yan, who was passing by. Just as Su Yan was about to call and warn Qin Mo, but then the ringing sound echoed nearby. At this moment, Qin Mo had already been cornered by Huang Mao and the others. Huang Mao pointed at Qin Mo and arrogantly shouted, I've never liked you. Today, don't even think about leaving alive. Compared to Huang Mao, Long Jun was even more arrogant, daring to steal my spotlight at Xiao Li's birthday party. Today, I brought some real experts. Qin Mo smiled as he crippled them. Where's the person you're looking for? Long Jun gave a wicked grin and said, I'm afraid it'll scare you to death. Before he could finish speaking, Wang Dali and the others tremblingly walked up to Qin Mo. With a thud, they knelt down. They begged Qin Mo for mercy repeatedly. This left Huang Mao and Long Jun utterly stunned. Master, could Qin Mo be the young fighter you mentioned, who used Move B to cripple Tiger Xiaotian? Qin Mo looked at them with a puzzled expression. Then he glanced at the confused blonde guy with the same puzzled look. Do you have anything else? The blonde guy and Long Jun gave a smile that looked worse than crying. No, nothing at all. Su Yan, who was hiding in the corner, stared blankly. Is that really how everything got resolved? Who exactly is Qin Mo? The boy was raised from childhood by 5 extraordinary elders. Grandpa Long is at the pinnacle of martial arts. Grandpa Yun is a master gambler. Grandpa Lu's culinary skills are unparalleled. Grandpa Tang is an unbeatable hacker. Luo Nan is known as the modern-day Hua Tuo. This life-changing elixir was crafted by Luo Nan himself. Martial artists can break through their limits after consuming it. Their cultivation will greatly increase. If an ordinary person takes it, they will explode within 3 days due to the overwhelming potency. In order to make Su Yan willingly serve him, Li Xiang took out a small Peiyuan Dan as bait. Just as Su Yan was about to put the pill in her mouth, a shadow suddenly appeared. He snatched the pill from Su Yan's hand. Holding the pill, Qin Mo coldly said, You can't take this pill. But Li Xiang, seeing Qin Mo arrive, had a dark expression. Qin Mo, mind your own business. Quickly give the pill back to Su Yan. Qin Mo glanced at Li Xiang, his eyes bloodshot, looking exhausted. Your body is already at the point of collapse. If you want to die, I won't stop you, but don't drag Su Yan down with you. Su Yan got so angry she came at me. It's none of your business. Just give me back the elixir. Qin Mo raised the pill high above his head. In an instant, he crushed the pill into fragments. After doing all this, he left without looking back. Yi Xiang watched Qin Mo's departing figure. His expression gradually turned cold and ruthless. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. Inside a large shopping mall, Qin Mo, dressed in a stylish trench coat, arrived here early. Her roommates knew Qin Mo had a date, so they prepared this outfit for her. Suddenly, a voice called out to Qin Mo. Sorry, the pancake stand is quite busy on weekends. I made you wait. Chen Wanwan appeared before Qin Mo like a fairy. Let's go in. The movie is about to start. Just as the two of them were walking hand in hand toward the cinema, A voice suddenly came from behind. Isn't that Chen Wan? Chen Wan was instantly stunned in place. A man and a woman walked over. He glanced at Chen Wan, then sized up Chen Mo and Chen Wan. You rejected me back then, and ended up with someone like this? Look at him, he looks so pathetic. Then he tilted his head back and said, oh, I remember now. I only pursued you back then just for fun. You really think you're important, don't you? You're rotten to the core. These words completely shattered Chen Wan's mental defenses. Tears welled up in her eyes. At that moment, Chen Mo suddenly stepped in front of Chen Wan. If you can talk, speak properly. If not, get lost. Bai Zhe was enraged by these words. What do you think you are, daring to shout at me like this? Did I ask for your opinion? Just then, Bai Yuran suddenly appeared. Seeing Bai Yu, Bai Zhe was momentarily stunned. Miss Bai, what are you doing here? Do you know him? Bai Yuran seems to have understood something. The master was just arguing with him. Then a mischievous smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. This Bai's always loves to court disaster. Might as well teach him a lesson today. Then, with a puzzled expression, she said, how would I know who he is? Bai's heard this. Suddenly, he felt relieved. Then, in his heart, he thought his family only had a small pharmaceutical factory. If he could impress Miss Bai, he would surely get promoted. Plus, he'd been chasing Chen Wan for 3 years without success. Yet this loser managed to win her over. This made Bai Zhe's face gradually turn cold. He pulled out a wad of cash and directly threw it in Chen Mo's face. Bai Zhe immediately laughed and looked at Chen Mo. If you crawl through my pants, the money is yours. Beside him, Bai Yuan was shocked. Then he covered his mouth and started to chuckle. The master is angry. That idiot is dead for sure. At this moment, Chen Wan looked at Chen Mo with a worried expression. They're from Baiha Pharmaceuticals. We can't afford to mess with them. Let's go. But Chen Mo held back his anger and said, don't rush. Let me make a call. Is it to Bai Xin? The Long family has a Bai family. I want them to disappear from now on. I'll give you 10 minutes. Baze pointed at Chen Mo and mocked him. The hell are you pretending for? Miss Bai is right there. She doesn't even know you. Bai Yuan, standing nearby, smiled, but said nothing. Though deep inside, he really wanted to slap Baze, that idiot. Baze got annoyed seeing Chen Mo's calm expression. He clenched his fists and charged at Chen Mo. Just then, a furious shout came from the tweezers. Stop right there. Bai Zhe turned around. He was instantly dumbfounded. Dad, what are you doing here? He saw the man humbly walking up to Chen Mo. He bowed deeply. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen. I'm late. I apologize for any offense. I hope you can forgive me. Bai Zhe was completely stunned. Chen Mo lifted his gaze. He casually said, your son. Bai Chi lowers his head. Cold sweat pouring down. Chen Mo continues casually, your son threw money at my face. Does the Bai family have a lot of money? Bai Chi panics. He starts wildly slapping Bai Zhe. Bai Zhe's eyes fill with blood from the beating. His face swells up badly. Then Bai Chi dragged him in front of Chen Mo. He made him kneel and apologized to Chen Mo. Bai Zhe, beaten so badly he could hardly speak, covered his face and mumbled, Mr. Chen, please spare me. Chen Wan, I'm sorry. I'm shameless, clinging to you every day. Please, show mercy. Spare me. Chen Wan glanced at Bai Zhe like this. She didn't want to pursue anything further. Just go. I don't want to see Chen Mo again. She coldly looked at Bai Zhe and said, get lost. If there's a next time, you won't even have a chance to apologize. Bai Chi hurriedly pulled up his son after hearing this, gratefully nodding at Chen Mo repeatedly. At this moment, Bai Yuan walked over. He said with a laugh, ha ha ha, I've long been displeased with this white piece, but I didn't want to intervene personally. Fortunately, Master took care of it for me this time. Alright, the matter is resolved. I have to go back now. Master, take care of your health. He said that and then left. But seeing Chen Wan and Chen Mo laughing and chatting, a trace of sadness rose in Bai Yuran's heart. Does Master have a girlfriend now? I really envy him. If my body hadn't become like this, would I also be this happy? In the screening room, the male and female leads embraced each other, crying uncontrollably. Seeing this, Chen Wan couldn't hold back her tears any longer. However, Chen Mo found the scene absurd. Just then, Chen Wan suddenly looked at Chen Mo. Then, with a flushed face, she said, Chen Mo, I want to ask if you have any feelings for me. At that moment, Chen Mo suddenly remembered Granny Luo's words, Mo. Girls like straightforward guys. Get something done. Before Chen Wan could finish speaking, Chen Mo directly grabbed Chen Wan's delicate little hand. Actually, at that moment, a small bag fell out of Chen Mo's pocket. Chen Wan was immediately stunned upon seeing it. Chen Mo was also taken aback. When did this thing end up in my pocket? This was my first date after being single for 18 years. It was ruined by a little thing that fell out of my pocket. Shin Mo returned to the dormitory looking dejected. When the three roommates saw Shin Mo come back, they smirked and asked, "Feeling great, huh? So it was you who did it." Shin Mo was completely losing it. "I'm going to get you for this. Stop running, you. I'm gonna beat you to death." Just as the two of them ran to the dormitory building, Xian Di seemed to notice something. Pointing at the bulletin board, he said, "Old Fourth, hold on, don't hit me yet." "Look, what's that?" Shin Mo stopped his clenched fist. He saw that the criticism on the board was about him. His gaze instantly turned cold. It read that our school's student Shin Mo had damaged the school's reputation. He openly questioned the reputation of Li Xiang. Therefore, he is being criticized by the entire school. Anger forced Shin Mo to tear down the notice. He didn't expect that his kind reminder would make him the target of the school's hostility. He became the laughingstock of everyone. The next morning, in the medical research office, Li Xiang was discussing new research with the school leaders. Su Yan was serving as an assistant and was recording the details of their conversation. Suddenly, the door of the medical research office was kicked open. Shin Mo stormed in, holding a document. He was filled with anger. The school leaders saw Shin Mo's arrival and shouted angrily, "You scoundrel! Defaming a fellow student's research will earn you a disciplinary action. Aren't you going to reflect on this properly? Why are you here? Are you not convinced?" Shin Mo's eyes scanned everyone present. Then he laughed and said, "If you want me to submit, let's see if Li Xiang dares to have a match with me." Li Xiang was stunned. Then he burst into laughter. "You're a sports student, and you want to compete with me?" Shin Mo raised an eyebrow. "Are you scared?" When Li Xiang heard Shin Mo's words, he laughed so hard his stomach hurt. "Then I'll satisfy your masochistic tendencies." Although Li Xiang knows that this elixir was refined by Shin Mo, he was born into a family of doctors. In terms of medicine, he really doesn't regard Shin Mo highly. Shin Mo came out of the lab, temporarily suppressing the anger within. As for Bien, Shin Mo hasn't taken him seriously yet. I can only see how bloodshot Li Xiang and Professor Lin's eyes are. I wonder if they can hold on until tomorrow. At that moment, a voice stopped Shin Mo in his tracks. "Are you Mr. Chin?" Shin Mo couldn't help but stand still. He nodded slightly. The woman let out a sigh of relief. She then said, "We finally found you. Mr. Chin, our company initially wanted to hire Tiger Xiaotian as a role model for our president, but after seeing your incredible skills at the gym, we now want to hire you." Shin Mo immediately refused. At this moment, the woman hurriedly grabbed Shin Mo, who was about to leave. "Mr. Chin, if you accept the task, not only will you have great influence at Long Corporation in the future, but our president will also fulfill any request you make." Shin Mo thought that if he wanted to cultivate peacefully in the future, just the pills alone would cost a lot of money, and he'd also need to maintain his sword. Perhaps the CEO could help a bit. With that thought, he immediately agreed. The deal was settled. Just as Shin Mo was about to leave, a group of burly men walked over. "No wonder you didn't hire us as bodyguards right away. So you had a backup plan." Then he glared fiercely at Shin Mo. "You really dared to take this job? I'm the only one who can be Mr. Chin's personal bodyguard." Shin Mo, looking annoyed, replied, "But I've already taken it, so you have no choice but to give up, right?" But the man clenched his fists and charged at Shin Mo. Then let strength speak for itself. But all that was heard was a loud crash. The man was slammed into the ground by Shin Mo's punch. The methods displayed by Shin Mo completely shattered this 7-foot-tall man. As everyone watched, Shin Mo left with a faint smile. It seems he found the right person. President Chin's future plans are secured. The next day, the auditorium was filled with students early. Many girls came specifically to support Li Xiang. At that moment, Shin Mo opened the auditorium door. Everyone saw Shin Mo arrive and started whispering, "Shin Mo really dared to come. I truly admire his fearless spirit." There are 3 people in Shin Mo's team with the mindset of lose the person, but not the battle. They even went out of their way to hang a banner. It read, "In our department, Shin Mo may be simple-minded, but he's physically strong, unafraid of mistakes, and his spirit is commendable." Shin Mo felt a bit embarrassed after seeing it. He really wanted to fire this roommate right away. Just as Shin Mo was heading toward the stage, Su Yan stopped him in his tracks. Then she sighed helplessly at Shin Mo. "Why are you doing this again? If you want to be famous, don't end up humiliating yourself." But Shin Mo ignored Su Yan's warning, walked straight towards the stage. But as time passed, Li Xiang and Professor Lin still hadn't arrived. The students were getting a bit restless. The leaders in the front row exchanged uneasy glances, not knowing what had happened. They tried calling Li Xiang and Professor Lin, but no one answered. Meanwhile, Shin Mo sat nearby with his eyes closed, resting. It was as if he sensed something. At that moment, the doors of the auditorium suddenly swung open. An old man and a bodyguard stumbled in. Carrying behind him Was Li Xiang, on the verge of collapse. Li Yanhua rushed straight to Qin Mo. Then, with a thud, he knelt down. Mr. Qin, I'm old and frail. I beg you, please save my grandson. Qin Mo glanced at Li Yanhua, who was kneeling there. It was not unexpected. Then he looked at Li Xiang, who was about to perish. He calmly said, Teacher Li, I have warned you 3 times before. But now it's too late. Hurry back and prepare for the aftermath. At that moment, Li Xiang crawled like a maggot to Qin Mo's feet, pleading for Qin Mo to save him. He publicly admitted to stealing the elixir, taking away Qin Mo's honor, and framing him. The crowd, upon learning the truth, was filled with disbelief. At this moment, Qin Mo calmly said, the path was your own choice. Besides, this pill is not something an ordinary person can handle. Moreover, the side effects have just begun. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Xiang's body, along with his strange posture, began to twist. After several crisp cracks, his limbs were forcibly broken. Heart-wrenching. The pain made him roar again. Seeing this, Su Yan was so frightened that cold sweat dripped down. The power of that pill is actually so strong. If Qin Mo hadn't stopped me that day, everyone in the audience would have been scared stiff. Then someone couldn't help but curse, blaming Li Xiang. He even wanted to give it to us, openly trying to harm us. You are just a thief who can't stand the light. Li Xiang heard everyone's angry curses. He shed tears of regret. I still can't do anything well. But at that moment, Li Yanhua came over. She embraced him. It's all Grandpa's fault. He shouldn't have placed all the family pressure on you. Don't be afraid, Grandpa will find a way to save you. Then he knelt down before Qin Mo again. Mr. Qin, I know you made this pill. You must have a way. I'm begging you. Doctors have a kind heart, was what Grandma Luo often taught him. Although he was angry at Li Xiang's actions, he also felt the pain of it. Take another life. Qin Mo felt a bit reluctant. Moreover, Old Li personally kneeled and begged for mercy. There are still ways. This would ruin his entire life. On the hospital bed, Qin Mo absorbed the spiritual energy from Xiao Peiyuan Dan for the 2 of them. Although he saved their lives, but all the bones in my body are shattered. I fear I will be bedridden for the rest of my life. Just as Qin Mo was about to leave, Li Xiang weakly said, Qin Mo. Thank you, Qin Mo. Just as he came out of the hospital, a voice stopped him in his tracks. He saw Bai Yuran smiling and waving. Master, I finally found you. I want to participate in the underground car race. Can you help me modify my car? As long as you help me modify it, I'll take you with me. It's clear that Bale really enjoys these risky and thrilling activities. However, Qin Mo shook his head. He has no interest at all in underground car racing. Not in the slightest. He turned around and left directly. Bai Lu watched Qin Mo's departing figure. He was so angry that he stamped his feet. Change it for me. I want to go too. Anyway, no one cares about me. Qin Mo couldn't be bothered to respond to him. He just went back to the dorm to cultivate. In the evening, Qin Mo had just finished his training. At that moment, the phone rang. On the other end of the line, Bai Xing's anxious voice came through. Mr. Qin, have you seen Yuran? He said he was going out to look for you today, but he still hasn't come home. Qin Mo immediately furrowed his brows. He suddenly remembered what Bai Yuran had said earlier. Don't worry, I will bring him back. Tang Long is the underground emperor who plays both sides, yet he was so scared by a glance from the young man that he didn't dare to move. He even bowed down to Qin Mo in front of everyone. Just now, after Qin Mo received the news that Bai Yuran had not returned for a long time, he hurriedly got dressed and ran out. Before leaving, he asked where Chen Di had an underground racing track. Seeing Qin Mo's nervous expression, Chen Di thought for a moment and said, it seems like there's a race tonight at Sangu Mountain. After learning the location, Qin Mo hurriedly ran out. By this time, a large crowd of street racers had already gathered at Sangu Mountain. A passerby asked in feigned confusion, so few people? Why are they racing at Sangu Mountain Port? It's been a while since it was this exciting. That person pointed to the side and said, did you see that girl? Tai Xiao likes him too much. He absolutely disagrees. In the end, I don't know how he said it, but he wants to race. If that girl can't get first place, she'll have to follow Tai Xiao. But the reason Bai Yuran wants to race is because he's wary of Tai Jia's all-around strength. But Tyson has been entangled with him. Yet Bai Xing dares not escape. So Bai Yuran resorted to this desperate measure to put an end to it. Bai Yuran bet with Tyson. If Bai Yuran takes first place, Tyson will no longer entangle him. Bai Yuran will also become a baboon at Sangu Mountain. If he fails to take first place, she wants to become Taishan's girlfriend. For Bai Yuran, Taishan spared no expense to invite the 3-time champion Yang Yang from Huahai province. Seeing Yang Yang's arrival, Bai Yuran suddenly felt a bit regretful. At that moment, Qin Mo drove in with the Jinni, saying he heard the bet. First, I will help you get it. The others nearby, however, looked at him with ridicule. Who is this? He actually said he wants to come in first. Does he think he can do that with that junky car? The least impressive here is a McLaren P1. What's the difference between his car and a tiny hatchback? Yang Yang next to him was so mad he almost laughed. Do you know who I am? How dare you say you want to come in first in front of me? Shin Mo looked completely confused. No matter who you are, the first one is mine. But Yang Yang, being the three-baron king of Fahai, naturally doesn't take Shin Mo, this shrimp, seriously. An Tai, seeing this, frowned slightly. She said to the bodyguard next to her, "Go. Find out who this kid is." With the sound of a whistle, the Kangushin car race officially began. As an amateur, Bayuran is allowed a 30-second head start. At this moment, the bodyguard in the surveillance room handed over Shin Mo's file. An orphan? I thought he was a newly rich guy from the Long family. Now I feel relieved. Even if he wins, he won't get away with it. At the same time, Shin Mo and Yang Yang's cars raced down the track, one after the other, watching Shin Mo being overtaken. Yang Yang made a disdainful gesture. Meanwhile, inside the car, Shin Mo gave a meaningful smile. Then, he floored the gas pedal. Suddenly, flames shot out from the back of Shin Mo's car. Everyone staring at the screen was shocked. No way! Flame-boosted acceleration? Is this really not Crazy Racing Kart Rider? An Tai immediately took out the walkie-talkie and ordered Yang Yang to overtake Shin Mo. Otherwise, he should forget about getting orders in Longshan. Yang Yang, who was given the command, immediately stepped on the gas and began to accelerate. But in the next second, Shin Mo directly left Yang Yang in the dust. Everyone was stunned by Shin Mo's maneuver. The three-time champion just vanished like that. Who exactly is Shin Mo? The only one who can suppress Bayuran now is Shin Mo. Bayuran was very happy to see this. In the monitoring room, Tyson clenched his teeth in anger. That bastard is preparing something. Don't let them escape later. But at this moment, Shin Mo's genie has surpassed Bayuran. Master, what are you doing? If you take first place, I lose. Tyson looked at the screen, excited. He stood up unconsciously, thrilled. As long as Shin Mo takes first place, he can still win the bet and be with Bayuran. Shin Mo, slow down. Slow down, Bayuran. Was that your mistake last time with Baizay? Bayuran immediately admitted defeat after hearing this. Crying, he said to Shin Mo, I was wrong. Master, I won't dare again. Please, master, slow down. Seeing the Lamborghini victory in sight, Tyson was so excited he was about to jump up. Suddenly, Shin Mo slammed on the brakes. Bayuran's Ferrari was the first to cross the finish line. Just now, Tyson was still excited, but now his face turned green. He must have done it on purpose. I want him dead. Bayuran happily jumped out of the car. She suddenly threw herself into Shin Mo's arms. Master is the strongest. Just as Shin Mo was about to take Bayuran away, a cold voice suddenly came from not far away. Neither of you is leaving today. An Tai, flanked by her followers, coldly moved to the side. The onlookers, upon seeing this, swallowed nervously, and fearfully took a few steps back. But Yuran stepped forward, and excitedly shouted, I came in first. You should keep your promise. Spend a night at this Tsangu mountain, wasting time. But An Tai sneered and said, this is my territory. Who gives you the right to make decisions here? You two aren't leaving today. Shin Mo shot me a cold glance. What if we don't listen? An Tai's face turned fierce. Then I'll kill you. Shin Mo immediately protected by Yu ran behind him. Then he smiled and looked at An Tai. My life is right here. It all depends on whether you have the ability to take it. An Tai, after hearing this, angrily pointed at Shin Mo and said, kill him. If something goes wrong, I'll take responsibility. More than a dozen of my subordinates, armed with sticks, charged straight at Shin Mo. Yet only a few loud bangs were heard. In just a moment, more than a dozen underlings fell at Shin Mo's feet, unable to stand up again. The onlookers were all dumbfounded. This person is simply a monster. All they could hear was Bayuran excitedly shouting from the car window. Impressive, hearing Bayuran's praise. An Tai was extremely angry. She pointed the gun directly at Shin Mo's forehead. You think you're tough? Faced with the dark muzzle of the gun, Shin Mo showed no signs of fear. Go ahead and shoot. Upon hearing this, An Tai couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Only in a dire situation. She didn't want to draw her weapon either. This was completely different from what she imagined. Shin Mo not only didn't kneel and beg for mercy, but instead encouraged her to pull the trigger. In a fit of rage, An Tai abruptly pulled the trigger. Seeing this, Shin Mo's pupils suddenly constricted. He gathered his spiritual energy in his palm. He reached out into the void with his bare hands. Then he slowly relaxed his grip. The bullet fell from his hand onto the ground. As a supporting shooter, ordinary bullets couldn't harm Shin Mo in the slightest. The guard watched the fallen bullet, and helplessly knelt on the ground, facing the advancing Shin Mo. The arrogance from before has long disappeared. I keep begging you not to come over. Shin Mo grabbed An Tai's collar and said, didn't you say you wanted to kill me? Come on. At this moment, Taijia Bieshu Mei Tai was sitting comfortably on the sofa, watching the video of Qin Mo blinking and annihilating the guy in the battle. The more he watched, the deeper his frown became. This person is too strong. Absolutely do not provoke him. I can only please you. Tai Hangen has made up his mind. If there is a chance, I must pay a visit to this young man. Just then, a bodyguard suddenly opened the door. It's not good. Young Master Tai has had an accident at Sanggu Mountain. After hearing this, Tai Hangen's expression instantly darkened. Someone rushed to Longshore Cave. My son is getting impatient. At this moment, in Sanggu Mountain, Qin Mo was sitting on the roof of a Lamborghini, with his feet on the bruised and battered Taishan. Just then, a bright light from a distant car flashes, illuminating the entire Sanggu Mountain. Tai Hang Mountain coldly says to the kid as he gets out of the car, "You didn't even bother to find out. How dare you touch my son?" Bai Yueran, standing by, couldn't help but feel nervous for Qin Mo, because everyone knew, with Long's status as Tai Hangen, destroying someone was effortless. Tyson saw his father arrive, and shouted excitedly, "Let go of me now. My father is here. You're dead." But Qin Mo remained quietly seated in the car. He pressed down harder on Aunt Tai's foot. Tai Xing'an saw Qin Mo's indifference. He was furious. Then he turned to Zhang Nan. "Go cripple him for me." Zhang Nan stood there, exuding a murderous aura. They charged towards Qin Mo aggressively, but when the two of them clearly saw Qin Mo's face, they were so scared that they froze on the spot. Cold sweat streamed down their faces involuntarily. It was as if they had seen a ghost. The next second, they surprisingly bowed to Qin Mo in public, saying, "Mr. Qin, it was a misunderstanding. Please forgive me." The onlookers were shocked by this scene. Just a moment ago, they had an arrogant attitude. Now, they immediately became as respectful as servants. The change in attitude was too fast. At this moment, Qin Mo's voice rang out, "Your son lost a bet. What's going on?" Tai Hong immediately scolded Tai Shin. "Didn't you hear what Mr. Qin said? Quickly do as he says." Tailing and the others lowered their heads. Aunt Tai was imitating a baboon's call from the side. They watched Qin Mo leave with Bai Yuran. Bai Yuran was especially excited tonight. She excitedly shook Qin Mo's hand and said, "Master, you were amazing today. I'm more and more in awe of you." But she hadn't finished speaking yet. Bai Yuran suddenly collapsed into Qin Mo's arms. Qin Mo reached out to Bai Yuran's body. He couldn't help but be startled. The temperature was terrifyingly low. It was as if he were holding a cold corpse. And on his head, there seemed to be something like an ice bead. It was still not quite right. I can only temporarily suppress him with spiritual power. Qin Mo thought to himself, it's not that I want to take advantage of you. Healing the body can't be done through clothes. Just then, the door was suddenly opened. Qin Mo stood frozen in place. Then he said innocently, "Uncle Bai, I said I was treating Yuran. Do you believe me? Don't use a knife on me. Everything I said is true. Uncle Bai, please stop him. Until Bai Yuran wakes up." The woman stopped chasing Qin Mo. At this point, the townsfolk smiled at Mr. Qin. "I'm truly sorry. Back then, we were too excited. I didn't expect you were really treating Yuran. Our Ran pretends to die twice every month. After waking up, her whole body feels cold." Hearing the commoner's words, Qin Mo frowned slightly. "Pretends to die every month?" But Bai Yuran, standing beside, smiled indifferently. "It's nothing serious. Those quacks all said I wouldn't live past 20. But look at me now, I'm doing just fine." Now Qin Mo understands why Bai Yuran likes thrilling things. Suddenly, Qin Mo looked at Bai Yuran and said, "Don't worry. I've managed to control your condition. We will definitely find a way to cure it in the future. But try to avoid those inferior cosmetics from now on." As soon as he finished speaking, Les stood up angrily. "What nonsense are you talking about? Ranan uses only the best beauty products from Latte." At this point, the common people explained to Qin Mo, "Mr. Qin, you may not know. Latte's beauty products are top tier across all of Huaxia. Their key feature is being natural and harmless." Qin Mo, however, pulled out a small bottle from his pocket. "If you don't believe me, we can compare." Les stared coldly. The good impression he had of Qin Mo had vanished completely. He then angrily said, "I'll have Ministerly bring the makeup artist right away. If you lose, you can get out immediately." In just a moment, a group hurried into the Baijia building. After seeing Les, a group of people hurriedly bowed. Lassie sneered and said, "Let this ignorant kid see." Several makeup artists were the first to apply Latian's products on Bai Yuran's face. After testing, the instrument showed that the harmful substances in Latian cosmetics were only 0.2. Such a low parameter is what made Latian stand out among major brands. Lassie looked at Qin Mo proudly and said, "It's your turn." He was very confident in his own products. Qin Mo simply opened the small bottle. He dropped a single drop of water on Yuran's forehead. Bai Yuran immediately felt a surge of warmth. Every pore was tightening. It was as if she had just been born. After being tested by the device, the harmful substances showed a result of 0. Les was stunned upon learning this. Natural, non-toxic, and harmless. It can instantly make your face fair, tender, and radiant. It practically meets all the criteria of a perfect cosmetic. Such a miraculous water exists in this world. If we could collaborate with it, it would generate unimaginable power. Just as Chin Mo was about to leave, Lisi stopped her in her tracks. Mr. Chin, don't you want to mass-produce such a great product? Our company can provide you with this platform. Chin Mo, however, smiled and declined. Lisi became anxious instantly. I'm begging you, is that okay? Come to our platform. I'll give you 70% of the sales profit. Bai Yuran was eating an apple. He patted his father on the shoulder. Did you see that? This is what a real man looks like. If you had half the skills my master has, Mom wouldn't have divorced you back then. Hearing this, Bai Xing was so angry he couldn't speak. He was about to kneel. Chin Mo thought it over carefully. He smiled wryly and agreed. Cultivating himself also required a lot of funding. With this 70% profit, it meant there would be a steady stream of money. As Chin Mo was leaving the Bai family and heading to school, a man's voice suddenly came from behind him. My dear, I want to confess to you. Chin Mo was completely stunned when he heard it. Did I just receive a male fan a couple of days ago? Yet all I hear is Fat Tiger passionately reciting poetry. Darling, your face is so enchanting. I want to kiss your forehead with my thick lips, holding your hand with my large hand like a banana leaf. We'll run towards the direction of the sunset. Fat Tiger is lost in his own poetry, unable to extricate himself. Chin Mo listens in a daze. Fat Tiger saw Chin Mo standing still. He instinctively thought Chin Mo was moved by his poetry. Feeling as if they'd become soulmates, Chin Mo noticed there was still time, so he decided to help Fat Tiger out. He personally wrote a love poem for him, but Fat Tiger looked disdainful. He snatched it directly from Chin Mo's hand. What kind of garbage did you write? It's clear you don't understand literature. You don't get the essence. What department are you from? PE department? Then you must know Chin Mo, right? Chin Mo was stunned on the spot. Wait, could this be a love poem written for me? Should I tell him or not? But I am just, this is. John suddenly shouted excitedly. Tell that guy Chin, that I, John, will definitely defeat him at the school sports meet. I'll make him understand that only someone as strong and talented as I am deserves the goddess. Chin Mo thought, this must be what they call a Chinibyo teenager. Then he nodded slightly. He said, I'll pass it on for you. And then he took off running back to the dorm. This is a competition that concerns a man's dignity. Only by winning can one gain the goddess's favor. But the national first-class athlete, Fat Tiger, was 3 laps behind Chin Mo. Just now, Chin Mo said goodbye to Fat Tiger and returned to the dorm. As soon as he walked in, he saw a few people looking miserable. Chin Mo asked in confusion, what's going on with you all? Do you, Mr. Busy, not check your messages? The school sports day is about to start. The class advisor is threatening us with credits, forcing us to take first place. The problem is, Li Kai is back, so we're just going to get crushed. Li Kai? Chin Mo was stunned when he heard that. Was it the canon that just recited poetry to me? Xian Di said with a serious face, Chin Mo, you're in trouble now. Li Kai was originally a star student in the sports department, and he's also a national-level athlete, but he transferred to the literature department for Chenwan. However, when he came back, he heard that you've been getting close to Chenwan lately. He also found out that you signed up for the 5K and 10K races. He threatened to crush us at the school sports meet. Early the next morning, the school sports meet officially began. Xian Di and the others pinned all their hopes on Chin Mo. At this moment, the blonde guy behind them looked dismissive. Li Kai has been first place every year, and they actually expect Chin Mo to win? Just then, Su Yan walked over holding Naichio. She insisted on coming today, so I brought her along. I'll be cheering for you today. Su Yan's arrival made the male classmates jealous, especially Huang Mao and his group. Their faces turned green with envy. As the school sports meet officially began, Li Kai, as a star athlete, was responsible for the student representative speech. He first went on and on about something. Suddenly, Li Kai stood up and shouted, today, on such a grand occasion, I want to confess my love to my beloved goddess, Chenwan. Chenwan in the audience turned pale upon hearing this. She wished she could find a hole to hide in immediately. But the whole school's atmosphere was ignited by this fool, Li Kai. The crowd erupted in uproar. Looking at the stage, Li Kai said affectionately, your face is so enchanting. I wish to kiss your face with my thick lips. This made the audience burst into laughter. What nonsense are you saying? It's okay, I have a backup. I can't let them laugh at me. Saying this, he took out the poem that Chin Mo wrote for him last night. Then he read it aloud. It speaks of the lonely melancholy of autumn. It's said to be the longing of the distant sea. If someone asks about my troubles, I don't dare to say your name. With Li Kai's expressive recitation, the girls in the audience instantly became his fans. Even Chen Wan's heart was racing. She didn't like Li Kai, but she really loved the poem. He couldn't believe that this was really Li Kai. Li Kai finished reading emotionally. He was already captivated. He couldn't help but glance at the last line. Following it, he read it out loud. Signed by Chin Mo. The audience below was stunned. What the hell? Signed by Chin Mo? It was Chin Mo confessing to Chen Wan. After a brief moment of silence, the entire field erupted in chaos, but Su Yan clenched her fist on the side. I even mustered the courage to cheer him on, and brought the little milk bun over for him. Chin Mo, you jerk. At this moment, Chen Wan looked at Chin Mo in the distance. I can't help but blush. Only Chen Di looked at me with admiration. You're impressive. You had your rival read a love poem for you. Meanwhile, on the stage, Li Kai's face turned green. He yelled into the microphone, Chin Mo. The confession I meticulously planned ended up being a confession for you. Why did you make me write your name? I declare war on you. The first event will be a 5-kilometer run. Li Kai glared at Chin Mo, teeth clenched. Watch closely, trash. If I don't lap you 3 times today, I'll kneel and eat shit. Chin Mo asked, puzzled. Do you like eating shit? Rikeo was so angry she felt like her lungs were going to explode. What a load of nonsense. I said I lost, so I'll eat it. With the sound of the starting gun, everyone thought Rikeo would come in first. But just then, Chin Mo burst out of the crowd at a sprinting speed. In the blink of an eye, he had created distance from everyone. Li Kai smiled, who starts off a long run by speeding up. He's definitely a rookie. Even the national team's coach at the podium thought Chin Mo would be exhausted in less than 10 seconds. 2 minutes have passed. Chin Mo still showed no sign of slowing down. He maintained an extremely fast pace. Coach Sun in the stands was stunned. What he just advised. The country feels like a slap that harshly struck his own face. At this moment, he started to doubt life. Is this really human? Could it be that a wild donkey has been reincarnated? However, his mad dash couldn't change the fact that Chin Mo was gradually closing in. In the end, Chin Mo successfully encircled Li Kai. As he passed by Li Kai, he even remembered to tap Li Kai on the forehead. Watching Chin Mo run further and further away, Li Kai shouted desperately, Chin Mo, stop. Do you dare to hit me? But Chin Mo continued to run faster. He had already landed 3 punches on Li Kai. This was different from what Li Kai had said to Chin Mo before the match began. What made Li Kai doubt life even more was yet to come. A small dog had been running alongside Chin Mo the whole time. The dog also completed 3 laps around the track. In the end, Chin Mo successfully crossed the finish line. He achieved it. Not only did the sports department erupt in excitement, the entire school couldn't help but stand up and applaud. Beside them, Chen Wan and Su Yan couldn't help but sigh at the scene. Li Kai stood in place, gasping for breath. In contrast, Chin Mo looked as if nothing had happened after running 5 kilometers. Seeing this scene, Li Kai was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. At that moment, the national team coach quickly ran over to Chin Mo. I've never seen a running style like yours in my life. Join our national team. I'll make you a captain right away. This has been Li Kai's dream for 2 years. But Chin Mo was not interested at all. I directly smiled and rejected it. Sorry. I still have to go participate in the 10,000-meter run. Lying on the stretcher, Li Kai secretly clenched his fists. Are you even human? Just you wait. At the victory banquet afterward, I'm going to make you, warrior, unable to lift your head. At the victory banquet a few days after the sports meet, everyone was celebrating Chin Mo's first place. After a few days of rest, Li Kai's complexion had improved a lot. But upon seeing Chin Mo, she couldn't help but clench her fists again. The reason she came to the celebration banquet this time was to let Chin Mo know the gap between them. At that moment, the door to the KTV was suddenly pushed open. Everyone turned to look and was stunned. There stood Chen Wan in a slip dress, paired with her exquisite figure. She looked so captivating under the dim lights. Seeing that Chen Wan had been waiting impatiently, Li Kai quickly stood up excitedly to greet her. But just as he reached out to grab Chen Wan's hand, she discreetly avoided him. Then, she walked straight to Chin Mo's side, and sat down, blushing. Li Kai said everyone wanted to celebrate your success, so that's why I came. After speaking, Chen Wan's face turned even redder. Just then, Li Kai suddenly stood up, interrupting the noisy crowd. Everyone, quiet down. Today, I want to present a gift to my goddess Chen Wan in front of everyone. Saying this, Li Kai took a drop of water out of his pocket. The girl in front of him recognized this makeup product. A drop of water. This is the latest product from Latte Cosmetics. The pre-sale price is 500,000 won. How did you get it? Chin Mo frowned as he looked at the box. He had already warned Li Mei before not to leak the product before its release. Why does Li Kai have it? Receiving everyone's praise, Li Kai became even more smug. He wanted Chin Mo to know the wealth gap between them. and give up because of it. But Chin Mo stood by, completely ignoring him. When faced with the cosmetics Li Kai sent, Chenwan directly refused, citing their high value. But many female classmates looked disappointed, wanting to see the effect of just one drop. Unable to withstand her classmates' teasing, Chenwan awkwardly let a drop fall from her face. This made Chenwan, who was already beautiful, appear even more stunning. Li Sai, hearing the compliments from his classmates, was even more proud. It was as if he wanted to write "I am Chenwan's boyfriend" on his face. It's natural for girls to love beauty. Chenwan really wanted to accept it, but after thinking about it, I pushed the cosmetics aside. Li Kai saw this and became somewhat disheartened. What do you mean by that? Are you really willing to be with a poor loser? Or do you not want to accept my pursuit? Can such a person bring you happiness? Can he afford cosmetics worth 500,000? Li Kai pointed at Chin Mo and yelled hysterically. Everyone also felt that Chin Mo and Li Kai's family backgrounds couldn't be compared. What's the use of just being fast? Only a few people in the front didn't speak. These few understood. Chin Mo could afford to open the Lamborghini door. How could he possibly be poor? Chin Mo said impatiently from the corner, "If I wanted to give him a drop of water, he can send you a truckload. And please don't use your finger." I was stunned while chopping vegetables. Then I burst into laughter. A truckload can save you. But Chin Mo directly made a phone call. Someone managed to buy a drop of water before the pre-sale. I need you to explain this to my face. I am at an altitude of 304. By the way, bring a few more boxes over. Just as everyone was laughing at Chin Mo for bragging, the door to the KTV was suddenly pushed open. "Mr. Chin, I'm sorry. I'm late." Li Kai's smile instantly disappeared. Upon seeing the newcomer, "Mom, why are you here? I told you, how did a drop of water go missing from home?" Mr. Chin asked me why it happened. "Turns out it was your doing. Just wait until I get my hands on you." Saying that, she took off her high heels. She started to hit Li Kai fiercely. Then she hurriedly dragged Li Kai in front of Chin Mo to apologize. "Mr. Chin, I brought you the drop of water you wanted." But Li Kai was displeased. "Mom, why can you give it to him but not to me? I'm your own son." Unexpectedly, Li Kai was rewarded with a big surprise. "Are you stupid? Mr. Chin is the founder of A Drop of Water. With a single word, he can make Letty stop production. You know." The classmates who were just mocking Chin Mo all showed surprised expressions, but Chin Mo thought that 3 boxes were really too few. Li Mei quickly said after hearing this, "Mr. Chin, don't worry, when we officially start selling, we'll send you a whole truckload." With that, she grabbed Li Kai and headed for the door. "Mr. Chin, you all have fun. I'll go back and properly educate him." At that moment, Su Yan suddenly called Chin Mo. "We have important guests coming the day after tomorrow. My mom wants you to come over to help with cooking." Shenwan watched all of this nearby, feeling a twinge of jealousy. What exactly is the relationship between Chin Mo and Su Yan? After the celebration banquet, Chin Mo took Chenwan home. He also wanted to explain the misunderstanding from their last date. But Chenwan, blushing, said, "I understand. I know what you're thinking. But I want to wait until later." Chin Mo was completely stunned after hearing that. Great, now the misunderstanding just got worse. The next day at noon, Chin Mo arrived at the Su family. Aunt Jiang saw Chin Mo, and couldn't help but give him a hug. Mo comes back early and doesn't say a word. The house is cold and empty. Seeing this, Chin Mo smiled and said it was okay. "Aunt Jiang, I've already eaten." But at this moment, Suda scolded, all right. Why say so much nonsense when you come here? We're hosting esteemed guests today. Be a little more clever." Chin Mo smiled but said nothing. Then he went straight to the kitchen to help out. But after a while, a plate of fruit was thrown in front of Chin Mo. "Kid, how did you wash this fruit? Can't you see such big stains on it?" But Chin Mo glanced at them, still not saying a word. Seeing this, Suda directly scolded, "What kind of attitude is this? Clumsy hands are one thing, but you can't even say a word of apology? Chin Mo, I'm telling you, you wouldn't have been able to enter Huahai University without our family's help. Stop making that ugly face at me." Seeing the murderous look in Chin Mo's eyes, Suda was even more fired up and dared to glare at me. "Let me show you what happens when I get angry." Su Yan, who was nearby, couldn't stand it any longer. She quickly grabbed Suda's hand and told him to stop. "I'll help Chin Mo too." But Suda pulled his daughter out. "Is this kitchen a place for you to enter? You still have to meet Uncle Bai's son later. Don't get your clothes dirty. Let him do it alone today." After saying this, he pointed fiercely at Chin Mo. Chin Mo let out a heavy sigh. He had never felt this suffocated since he was young. Thinking about how Zhang Yi traveled all over China to find him, the suffering she endured was not small. Chin Mo just endured it. After adjusting his mindset, Chin Mo turned to Zhang Yi, who was concerned about him, and said, "It's fine. I'll handle it here." After a while, the doorbell rang. The Su family and Dr. Lu hurriedly stood up to greet. Bai Qi, however, impatiently said, "Is the meal ready? I have something to do soon." Su De, upon hearing this, quickly went to the kitchen and shouted, "The guests have arrived. Get a move on." At the dining table, Su De was about to flatter Bai Qi, but was directly stopped by a wave of his hand. Hold on. Let's not talk about work while eating." But at that moment, Bai Zhe stared at Su Yan and said, "If I could get this girl to follow me, this matter isn't impossible to discuss." Just then, Qin Mo brought the dishes to the table. The tempting aroma completely stunned Bai and his son. They even perceived the secrets of Confucianism and Taoism from the dishes. Just as the two were eager to indulge, they suddenly froze in their seats. Qin Mo smiled lightly at the two and asked, "What's wrong? Is it not tasty?" When the Bai father and son saw Qin Mo, they were completely stunned. "Mr. Qin, what are you doing here?" Su De and the others were already dumbfounded at the scene. "Mr. Qin," Bai Zong called this kid Mr. Qin. Qin Mo smiled lightly and looked at the Bai father and son, saying, "Someone called me to cook for you too." The Bai father and son were so scared their legs went weak. They exchanged a bitter smile. "If Mr. Qin had known it was you cooking, we absolutely wouldn't have dared to come eat." Qin Mo, however, smiled and urged the two to sit down, but felt speechless in his heart. "If I had known it was these two idiots, I wouldn't have sat down." Seeing that Qin Mo wasn't angry, they both dared to shakily sit down. At this moment, Bai Qi glanced at Su De, cautiously asking, "What's Qin's relationship with this Su De?" Su De's uprightness made Bai Qi's question all too obvious. He just wanted to follow Qin Mo's lead. Then he looked at Qin Mo with a pleading expression. He had long since lost his previous arrogance. Qin Mo, however, calmly said, "It has nothing to do with me." Bai Qi, upon hearing this, immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Suddenly, Qin Mo's tone changed. "What if Jiang Yi and I are relatives? Do you understand?" Bai Qi's relaxed expression immediately became serious. After thinking for a moment, he suddenly slapped the table and made up his mind. "Su De, out of respect for Mr. Qin, I'll help you this time." Su Jia, Su De, and Jiang Yi hurriedly thanked him. But Bai Qi shook his head and said, "If you're going to thank someone, thank Mr. Qin." Su De had a look on his face like he had eaten something awful, but he had no choice but to listen to Bai Qi. He slowly bowed towards Qin Mo. "Thank you, Mr. Qin." Qin Mo glanced at him indifferently. "I did it for Jiang Yi. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't care in the slightest." As for Dr. Liu, who was so arrogant just a moment ago, he had already been sent to Qi County by Qin Mo. After Qin Mo finished eating, he stood up and left the Su family. The arrogant young master from a second ago was now crawling like a dog in front of the boy, barking like one. As soon as Qin Mo left the Su family, Bai Qi came running, panting, "Mr. Qin, wait, something big is happening with the Long family soon. Many people have developed severe skin diseases due to water pollution, but our Long family has no medicine to treat it. People are flocking to the pharmacy next door for treatment." This caused a sharp decline in sales for all of Long's pharmaceutical factories. Qin Mo wondered why he didn't get medicine from the pharmacy. Bai Qi shook his head helplessly. "That medicine is made by the Yihu family of apothecaries." After they learned about Long's situation, they wanted to take the opportunity to monopolize Long's market. They want President Baianes to give up 50% of the industry's profits. At the end of the Qin dynasty, there were many innocent lives waiting to be saved, and it makes me angry. Yet they take advantage of the chaos. They rise from the ashes. It's truly shameless. Mr. Qin, if you have time, go see General Bai. He has been troubled and has not rested for several days. Bai Qi does not expect Qin Mo to lend a hand. He just wanted Qin Mo to take better care of the people's health. Qin Mo nodded. He agreed. A few days later, Elderly formally invited Qin Mo to attend the Shushan tea gathering. As for the cemetery, Qin Mo had already guessed it. It was to ask him to refine a tiger elixir. He wanted it to be successfully refined. "First, we need to see what Yihu Dan looks like." Before long, a white-haired youth entered with his bodyguards. Upon seeing this, Old Li quickly smiled and said, "Young Master Yao, you're here. This person inside is Qin Mo from Huahai University. You both excel in medical skills. I'm sure you'll get along." Yao arrogantly glanced at Qin Mo. "It's truly laughable to create a substance that has side effects on the human body. But what is there to boast about?" Qin Mo chuckled. He didn't explain. After all, he couldn't possibly tell him that Xiao Pei Yuan Dan is for cultivators. Yao noticed this. Scoffing, "At least you know your limits. I won't bother with you today." But in the upcoming negotiations, Yao insisted again. "Without 50% of Long's profits, there's nothing to discuss." But just then, Yao noticed Bai Yu standing nearby. Greed unconsciously appeared on his face. "Such a delightful figure. If I can have you, I will definitely speak well of you in front of my father." The people, seeing this, shouted excitedly, "What did you say?" but Yao Wen still had an unafraid attitude. Do you need me to repeat myself? The common people are trembling with anger. If it weren't for the Long family, the common people wouldn't have come to this. Then, gritting his teeth, he said, fine. Then let's give up 50% of the profits. Shin Mo frowned and watched from the side, not making any comments. At that moment, a middle-aged woman rushed in with her daughter. Mr. Yao, please, I beg you, save my daughter. My daughter is dying. Please give her a tiger elixir. Yao Wen looked disgusted at the scene. Then he kicked the woman hard. Don't disturb my peace. Whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. Li Lao and Bai Xin were stunned by what they saw. Then, Li Lao lowered his stance and approached Yao Wen. He bowed respectfully. He only hoped to save the little girl's life, but Yao Wen remained indifferent. Bai Xin sighed deeply at the scene. He even knelt directly in front of Yao Wen. Seeing this, Yao Wen became even more arrogant. Ha ha ha, truly worthy of being a master of traditional medicine, a leader in the pharmaceutical world. Indeed, flexible and adaptable. Even the onlookers were somewhat moved. Deservedly so, a true leader in the world of medicine. At this moment, Yao Wen calmly pulled something out. Fine, I'll make it happen for you. Yao Wen grabbed the pill in his hand. He handed it to the middle-aged woman, whose face was covered in sores but whose eyes lit up with hope. But the next second, his lips curled into a sneer. Hey kid, bark like a dog for your brother, and your brother will cure you. The little girl froze for a moment, but she still obediently knelt down, and she prayed for Yao Wen to save her mother first. Just as the little girl was about to bark like a dog, Shin Mo suddenly appeared. He gently picked up the little girl. Then he snatched the Yihu Dan from Yao Wen's hand. Do you really think we, Longshire, are powerless? Immediately after, Shin Mo publicly crushed the Yihu Dan. This made Bai Xin and Old Li feel heartbroken. Yao Wen saw this and burst into laughter, saying, now they can't blame me for their deaths. Shin Mo remained calm and said, do you think your medicine is the only one that can cure? Open your eyes and watch closely. The tiger pill that your Yao family is proud of is just second-rate. After saying this, Shin Mo gently stroked the girl's face. Spiritual energy gathered in his palm. The girl felt warmth on her face. That once creativity-filled face was miraculously restored. Yao Wen's smile froze in an instant. Li Lao and the townsfolk watched excitedly. Witnessing ancient medical arts is truly thrilling. But at that moment, Yao Wen flashed a wicked grin. So what if you know these ancient medical arts? Hundreds, even thousands of people. Your spirit energy can save them. Without my Yuhua Dan from the medicine family, they're still on a dead end. Shin Mo turned to look at Baixing. Sorry. I just took a glance at the Yuhua Dan. I can make it now. Give him back the contract. No need to sign. As soon as the words were out, Baixing slammed the contract heavily onto Yao Wen. Frustrated, Yao Wen ordered the bodyguards to target Shin Mo again. Shin Mo raised his hand. An invisible wave of energy knocked several people to the ground. Yao Wen and the others saw how powerful Shin Mo was. They intended to leave at this point. At this moment, Shin Mo suddenly blocked their way. Elderly, I remember there's a rule at Shushan Tea House. Anyone not from the Long family who comes here must walk in and kneel to leave. Yao Wen's face turned purple. He was suffocating with anger. But under Shin Mo's pressure, he knelt down. At this moment, Shin Mo approached the little girl and said, Little one, you said there's something else we must do before leaving Shushan Tea House. What is it? The little girl cleverly replied, we need to bark like a dog. Yao Wen's face almost twisted in frustration upon hearing this, but he was forcefully held back by the bodyguard. Seeing Shin Mo's murderous gaze, he had no choice but to kneel down and imitate a dog barking. How did your brother act just now? Like Erha listening to the conversation between Shin Mo and the little girl, Yao Wen almost fell to the ground. Before leaving, he couldn't help but secretly swear. Shin Mo, just you wait. The Yao family won't let this go. Yao Shang, yes. The Yao family's mansion, sister. The head of the Yao family, Yao Ning, is sitting at the dining table with a few friends, drinking and chatting. At this moment, an elder said with a grim face, my brother whose dojo was destroyed by a young man from the Long clan, so he has an irreconcilable grudge against the Long clan. From today on, we are at your command anytime. Yao Ning looked smug. He laughed heartily, you two heroes. My priority is to swallow up the Long clan, and then you can walk through the Long clan sideways. Before the words even finished, Yao Wen came running in, crying, Grandfather, you have to avenge me. They not only tore up the contract, but they also had Shin Mo throw me out of Shushan Tea House. Upon hearing Yao Wen's news, Yao Ning's face was full of disbelief. Meanwhile, Huxiaoshan, standing to the side, reacted at the mention of Shin Mo. He immediately showed a look of fear. Xiao Bufan, standing nearby, shouted angrily, Brother Yao, to be honest, it was Shin Mo who destroyed my junior brother's martial arts school, and now, he's dared to attack your grandson. Yao Ning resonated with him after hearing this, clenching his teeth in anger as well. He even promised that if Qin Mo could be eliminated, he took out half of the Long family's profits as a reward. Xiao Bufan's eyes revealed greed upon hearing this. He nodded immediately. Good. Take me into the Long family. I will definitely cut off Qin Mo's head. Everything that happened at the Yao family was unknown to Qin Mo. At this time, the Long family, under Li Lao's leadership, was distributing the elixirs made by Qin Mo to the sick. At the end of the Qin dynasty, the warriors were temporarily unresponsive. Just as General Li handed the medicinal pill to the patient, a masked man suddenly burst out with a sword. The bodyguards around Li realized the situation was not right, and immediately drew their batons. But the crowd was simply no match for him. The bag containing the medicinal pills was also seized by the intruder. The veil fell, revealing his true form. The person is Xiao Bufan. Hundreds of patients behind him shouted anxiously, "Give us back the elixirs. That's the life-saving medicine for my child." But Xiao Bufan remained indifferent. "Call Qin Mo here. Otherwise, I will destroy all the elixirs today." But hundreds of patients. But they refused to betray Qin Mo. Then they all swarmed toward Xiao Bufan, trying to snatch the pill back from him. Xiao Bufan suddenly swung his longsword, forming a full moon arc. The few young men who rushed up first clutched their arms in pain and fell to the ground. At that moment, a voice came from the crowd. Assistant Qin Mo looks up at Xiao Bufan on the high platform. He says calmly, "I heard you were looking for me." Xiao Bufan is taken aback. He didn't expect Qin Mo to be so young. "So, you're Qin Mo? Today, I will take your life." Qin Mo, seeing this, isn't angry. Instead, he shows a hint of joy. "I didn't expect to encounter a swordsman in the Long family. The sword I've nurtured for so long is finally coming in handy." The long cold sword comes. As Qin Mo's voice just fell, a sword accompanied by the dragon's soul appeared out of thin air. The two swords faced each other, issuing a fierce clash. Xiao Bufan couldn't help but exclaim, "Sword of spirituality." Xiao Bufan is a master of the sword arts. Naturally, he understands swords. In the world, weapons can be divided into two types. One type is forged and tempered by wild methods. The other type is crafted by ancient skilled artisans. These are born of nature. They are called swords of spirituality. What Qin Mo was holding was clearly an extremely rare spiritual sword. Xiao Bufan's eyes were full of greed. "As long as I kill him, that sword will be mine." He charged at Qin Mo again. But when Qin Mo saw the useless sword, his eyes were filled with disappointment. In Xiao Bufan's incredulous gaze, Qin Mo had already unleashed his sword technique to injure him. With a crisp sound ringing out, the silver-white long sword in Xiao Bufan's hand broke. It fell to the ground. Looking at the broken sword in his hand, Xiao Bufan's body began to tremble involuntarily. At that moment, Qin Mo's voice sounded, saying that without a sword, the swordsman had no need to continue fighting. "Leave," he said. Xiao Bufan felt that this was an insult from Qin Mo. Looking at Qin Mo's unsheathed sword and the words he just said to him, suddenly, rage surged through him. He violently coughed up a mouthful of blood. Xian stared blankly at the scene. He realized he had underestimated Qin Mo. Not only was his medical skill exceptional, even his swordsmanship had reached such a level. A man like this must never be taken lightly. Afterward, Xiao Bufan, dragging his severely injured body, stumbled into the home of his friend from the Long family to recuperate. He opened the door, shocked at what he saw. "Brother Qiao, who hurt you like this?" After entering the house and recovering a bit, Xiao Bufan explained what had happened. Learning that the spiritual sword had appeared, Lei Lei's eyes were filled with greed. "I'll have to meet this Qin Mo, a kid in his 20s? I don't take him seriously." As he spoke, he told Xiao Bufan to rest and recover at home. He went out alone. At that moment, Qin Mo was practicing sword techniques. Even Qin Mo himself didn't expect that breaking Xiao Bufan's Jian Han would lead to a breakthrough. It seems that the way to improve the Long Han sword is by constantly challenging martial artists, then swallow their weapons. Just then, a group of uniformed individuals approached Qin Mo. They clasped their hands and asked, "Are you Mr. Qin? You can call me Xiao Wang. Our president would like to meet you." Qin Mo did not expect that there was such an organization as the Martial Arts Association in Huaxia, so he agreed to meet. "Maybe I can get some guidance from a master." After saying that, he headed to the Martial Arts Association's stronghold with Xiao Wang. Before long, Qin Mo arrived at the Long Clan Martial Arts Association's stronghold. The moment he entered, everyone's gaze turned to Qin Mo. Yet Qin Mo sensed hostility from their eyes. He snorted coldly and said, "President, I wonder why you called me here." At this moment, Lei Lei stepped forward. "I heard that Mr. Qin has some parts. I wonder if we could take a look at them." The greed in everyone's eyes was fully captured by Qin Mo. Qin Mo thought to himself, "So this is what it's for. Why not?" With that, he suddenly pointed. Suddenly, the Long Han sword realm appeared out of thin air on the table. Everyone saw this, and couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Many people's gazes turned greedy. A peerless sword. A spiritual sword. In martial arts, it's an invaluable treasure. If taken to an auction outside, selling it for billions wouldn't be a problem. Lele excitedly stroked the Longhan sword. When he tried to lift it, he just couldn't pick it up. Everyone watched curiously. Is it really that heavy? At this moment, Shin-Mo calmly said, the sword has already chosen its master. Don't waste your energy. Lele stares intensely at Shin-Mo. Then, with a cold tone, he says, how can I use it? Shin-Mo's eyes suddenly sharpen. A smile appears on his lips. You want to use it? You'll have to kill me first. The unexpected answer plunges the whole meeting room into silence. After hearing this, Lele bursts into laughter. We're all Long family people. Why resort to violence? But suddenly, Lele gave a wicked smile. Then she tossed a challenge letter toward Shin-Mo. I, Lele, officially challenge you. Shin-Mo had been worrying about finding a worthy opponent to enhance the quality of the Longhan sword. With the challenge delivered to his door, he was naturally happy to accept. As Shin-Mo accepted the challenge and was about to leave, Lele shouted at him, you won't be allowed to use parts when the time comes. Shin-Mo stopped in his tracks. Smiling, he replied, don't worry. To kill you, I don't need Ronghan. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a loud bang. The conference room door was blown to pieces by Shin-Mo's immense strength. Under the stunned gazes of everyone, Shin-Mo slowly left the Martial Arts Association. In the middle of the night, Shin-Mo was sound asleep. A hand suddenly reached out towards him. Shin-Mo jolted awake. He discovered that it was his third brother, Wang Xiana. Seeing Wang Xiana's hesitant demeanor, Shin-Mo, third brother, just tell me what's the matter. Wang Xiana trembled as he took out a thick stack of cash. It was about 10,000 yuan. Fourth brother, can you still get a drop of water? Didn't I just get a girlfriend? She has always wanted this kind of Wang Xiana. It made Shin-Mo feel a bit pained. The selling price for a drop of water is 500,000. This 10,000 yuan is nowhere near enough. Shin-Mo pushed the money back to third brother. No need for money. Just take sister-in-law to the latte press conference in a couple of days. A few days later, Shin-Mo arrived alone at the latte beauty press event. Not long after, he saw Wang Xiana leaving in disappointment. Shin-Mo asked in confusion, third brother, how did you save yourself? Wang Xiana sighed and began to explain, ever since the last argument. He hasn't spoken to me for days. I texted him to come. He didn't reply to my message either. Shin-Mo patted him on the shoulder and comforted him, saying it's okay. Maybe he's just too busy. Let's wait and see. Just then, a luxury car stopped in front of the two of them. Hai Yuan and a man got out of the car, appearing very close. Wang Xiana was struck by lightning upon seeing this scene, but Gao Yuan glanced at him. He was stunned for a moment, pretending not to recognize him. A poor, shabby kid. He turned out to be the founder of a cosmetics brand worth billions, but because he was too low-key, his own security didn't recognize him, and also drive him out. Just now, a luxury car stopped in front of the two. I saw Gao Yuan and a man getting out of the car in a very intimate manner. Wang Xiana was struck like a bolt from the blue at this scene. She rushed in front of the two as if she had gone mad. Gao Yuan, however, disdainfully swatted Wang Xiana's phone away. She hurriedly explained to her new boyfriend, I won't pay attention to her. He keeps pestering me. Wang Xiana wanted to explain something after hearing this, but Gao Yuan laughed and said, with your attitude, you think you can chase me? What do you have to compare with Jia Ming and me? He drives a Bentley, the clothes he casually buys me cost tens of thousands, and you hesitate over 200 bucks. You should just go back to the countryside and marry a fat woman. At this moment, Shin-Mo, who was standing by, snorted coldly, you're quite right. It's definitely better to marry a fat woman than you. Luckily, I saw through you in advance. Otherwise, I would have really sent you a few boxes of one drop. Third brother is really lucky to be dead. After hearing this, Gao Yuan burst into laughter. You two poor fools should stop embarrassing yourselves here. Get lost. A bunch of poor fools crowded in one dorm. With that, Gao Yuan proudly took her new boyfriend and walked away. Wang Xiana stood there, looking lost and dejected. Shin-Mo pulled his arm and said, what are you spacing out for? Come inside with me. Today is one drop sales day. Sister Wang, as the head of sales for Latte Beauty, was brimming with confidence. When she saw Delene walk in with Gao Yuan, she was overjoyed. Di Xiao, you've been looking forward to this. This must be your girlfriend. She's truly beautiful. If she used just a drop of water, she would be like a fairy. Delin smiled proudly and said, I heard there are many reservations. My 2 boxes are all set, right? Sister Wang smiled and invited them to sit down. You can relax. You sit down first. A cold voice came from a distance. Today, let's see who dares to let him sit. Sister Wang saw Shin-Mo. She was shocked and froze in place. It was Shin-Mo who caused her to lose her job at the car rental company. She had no choice but to come to Letty in beauty. Upon seeing the Tibetan plateau, Shin-Mo was also taken aback. I didn't expect this woman to jump ship. At this moment, Sister Wang's dazed expression gradually returned to normal. With D Min as a major client, she would surely receive attention from Letian Cosmetics. And today, with this pretty boy Chin Mo here, it's the perfect opportunity for her revenge. Thinking of this, she looked at Chin Mo arrogantly. Isn't this the pretty boy who got dumped by Miss Bai? You think you can buy anything from Letian today? Wang Xiao nervously tugged at Chin Mo beside him. Besides being afraid of causing trouble, he also didn't want to trouble Chin Mo again. But Chin Mo just smiled and waved his hand at Wang Xiao. Even if he leaves today, he can't leave amid others' mocking laughter. He then coldly said, if you apologize, you might still have a chance to continue working here. Otherwise, you will still lose your job today. Sister Wang laughed out loud after hearing this. She didn't believe that Chin Mo could get in touch with Letian Beauty, two poor losers from the countryside. All they know is to run after rich people's backs. Disgusting. I'll give you one last chance. Apologize to me and my friends. But instead, she received a look of disdain from Sister Wang. Seeing this, Demon shouted, what do you think you are? If you don't apologize, what can you do? Before the words were finished, an invisible wave of energy sent Demon and the others flying. Seeing this, Wang Jia couldn't help but roar, what are you all standing there for? Get these arrogant fools out of here. Let them know the strength of Letian security. After saying that, several security personnel rushed toward Chin Mo and the others. Just then, a voice came from afar. The behavior of the beauty makeup sales director truly opened my eyes. At this moment, a woman's appearance stopped this farce. Since Chin Mo entered, this beautiful woman had been staring at her. Now she was even standing up for herself. This couldn't help but make Chin Mo wonder if it was because he was handsome. After a brief interlude, Chin Mo and the others returned to their seats. With the arrival of Latte's president, Lisi, Latte Beauty's new product launch officially begins. Welcome, everyone, to the One Drop press conference. This is Latte's new product. 0 harmful substances. One drop can instantly beautify. It can also provide permanent skin care. The audience went wild upon hearing this. Instant beauty enhancement. Long-lasting skin care. This is simply divine water. Alright, I've introduced everything now. Let's give a round of applause. Please welcome Mr. Qin, the founder of ENGSUB. Below the stage, Wang Jia and others were still thinking about how to curry favor with Mr. Qin. At this moment, Chin Mo slowly stood up, walking towards the stands under the gaze of the crowd. Lisi and Lishan's dozens of executives bowed solemnly. Mr. Qin's group in the audience, including Gao Yuan and Dilling, looked as if they had just eaten something disgusting, unable to believe this was real. However, Chin Mo's words struck like a thunderbolt. Hello everyone, I am the founder of A Drop of Water. Chin Mo looked at his fourth brother, Wang Xiaonan, on the platform, who was equally stunned. He thought the fourth brother had something going on with Letian, but he never expected that he was the developer of ENGSUB. And just moments ago, Wang Jia, who was so full of himself, now looked like a beaten eggplant. He collapsed to the ground. At this moment, Chin Mo spoke again, I have only one thing to say. My product is not for sale to buy Jinmi. As soon as he said this, everyone turned their eyes to Gao Yuan in the back row. The two of them jumped up in frustration. Who do you think you are? Latte doesn't just listen to you. At this moment, Les said calmly from the side, Mr. Qin's words represent my words. This statement was like a slap in Demon's face. He could no longer say a word. Then, Chin Mo waved his hand. Security, get to work. It was just like the scene that had just occurred. A group of security guards came over. They directly married off D Min and Gao Yuan. At this moment, D Min was still struggling and shouting, my father is from Dayudak. How dare you treat me like this? Gao Yuan, on the other hand, was completely in despair, looking at Wang Xiaonan, who was sitting there, indifferent. At this moment, he also felt regret. The people present finally understood how high Chin Mo's status was in Letian Cosmetics. At this moment, Chin Mo walked up to Sister Wang. He stopped in his tracks. Then he said casually, as a salesperson, the worst thing is looking down on others. This light remark seemed to hold Wang Jia's fate in his hands. After hearing this, Les was instantly furious. You don't need to come anymore. As soon as he finished speaking, a group of security guards dragged Wang Jia out. After Chin Mo finished giving instructions, he was about to leave. At that moment, a sweet voice came from behind him. Wait a minute. Get in my car, let's talk. Chin Mo, considering the woman had just helped him, agreed. Once inside the car, Chin Mo frowned slightly. Something felt off about this car. The woman didn't notice Chin Mo's expression. She asked casually, you're Chin Mo, right? Before Chin Mo could respond, the driver sitting in the front suddenly said coldly, are you strong? Chin Mo was slightly stunned, and smiled, I never said I was strong. The woman glanced at Chin Mo. A trace of disappointment flickered in her eyes, but she didn't say anything else. Alright, you can get out now. Are these two idiots? They came up on their own, and said something nonsensical, then asked to leave again. Shin Mo was speechless about it. After the car door closed, the driver in the front seat spoke again. Miss, the bodyguard Xiao Wu hired for you. No, let me protect you, that way the old man can rest easy. I'm old and weak, but still better than a college kid. Look at that skinny boy. He looks like he has no strength at all. Shin Mohan helplessly touched his forehead. I admit, you have a point. Just at that moment, there was suddenly a sound at the car window. Shin Mohan lowered the car window. Shin Mo's smiling face suddenly appeared. Shin Mo threw a bomb into the car, along with 3 small bugs. It's pretty dangerous to place these under the car. Be more careful in the future. Shin Mo and Fu Shu were completely stunned. They saw Shin Mo slowly reaching towards Shin Mohan's collar. Shin Mohan blushed and said, "What are you doing?" Shin Mo pulled the button off his collar. Then he placed the button in front of him. Another listening device. Interesting, he said. Shin Mo smiled and left. The arrogance before the revival was completely gone. Looking at Shin Mo's departing figure, I was utterly shocked. There are so many bombs and listening devices in the car. I didn't even sense a thing. Shin Mohan quickly got out of the car and called a halt to Shin Mo's departing steps. He sincerely apologized to Shin Mo, hoping Shin Mo would continue to protect him. Shin Mo responded indifferently, I'll think about it. Unexpectedly, Shin Mo didn't follow the usual playbook, and said that if Shin Mo didn't agree, he would have to visit his school 3 times to ask for help. Upon hearing this, Shin Mo could only helplessly agree. A few days later, Zhang Nan personally led the Tian security company from Long's airport. They all followed Shin Mo's orders. At that moment, a helicopter slowly descended in front of everyone. A slim woman stepped off the helicopter. This beauty was Shin Mohan, the head of the Qin family in Huaihai province. Shin Mohan coldly stepped off the helicopter. A group of bodyguards hurriedly bowed. Only Shin Mo stood with his hands in his pockets. He looked at her with a half-smile. During this trade negotiation, the family arranged many assassins. I'm entrusting my safety to you. At this moment, Shin Mohan's cousin mocked her, saying, You can't be serious about letting a college student protect you, right? Beside Shin Shu stood a burly foreign man, about 1.9 meters tall, broad shoulders and strong build. He looked at Shin Mo and the bodyguards with disdain. Zhang Nan and the others were shocked when they saw the man. It's Soria, a retired special forces soldier. He's incredible. You even brought him here. Soria glanced at Shin Mo's small frame. He couldn't help but mock, You're their leader? As long as I'm here, you don't matter. You can leave. Shin Mo chuckled softly, on Huaxia's territory. Since when is it an outsider's turn to act up? Soria was taken aback. I didn't expect Shin Mo to speak foreign languages so fluently, but they still looked down on Shin Mo. They directly made him the driver. Along the way, Soria talked about his various experiences in the SEAL Special Forces. This earned him a round of praise from Shin Shu. In the end, Soria shook his head. He concluded that the Huaxia bodyguards were not up to par. Shin Mo listened to the two bragging while driving. He didn't say anything. As the car drove away from the city, and passed along a small road in the suburbs, Shin Mo furrowed his brows sharply. His gaze suddenly became piercing. In the next second, a loud rumble echoed. The large trees on both sides fell with a crash. Fortunately, Shin Mo reacted quickly and stopped the car. The people inside the car were startled and panicked by the sudden commotion. Shin Shu covered his head in his injuries. How did you drive the car? Shin Mo said coldly, Someone is coming. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of rustling emerged from the woods. A dozen masked figures in black slowly approached the sedan. A large hand touched the car window. Shin Shu was like a startled bird. She grabbed Soraya's arm and shouted that they were coming. You need to take them out quickly. Soraya, getting out of the car, arrogantly said they were just a few small-time thugs playing with Huaxia acrobatics. She then pulled out her gun and aimed it at several people. Don't move, or I'll kill you. Before she could finish her sentence, a dart pierced directly into Soria's forehead. The expression of terror on his face was frozen in time. He fell straight to the ground. Shin Shu stared wide-eyed in horror. His heart had long been eroded by fear. The car door was pulled open by a man in black. Shin Shu was dragged out amidst the shouts. Shin Mohan showed no expression, but his body trembled slightly. He couldn't help but glance at Shin Mo beside him. He saw that Shin Mo was leisurely playing on his phone, completely unperturbed. Just as the man in black was about to pull Shin Mohan out of the car, Shin Mo finally put away his phone. He said coldly, Don't move him. The leader of the men in black saw this. A dart flew straight at Shin Mo. Just as the dart was about to reach him, Shin Mo lightly flicked his finger, and the dart returned along its original path, piercing the leader's arm. With just one move, everyone realized the boy in the car was not to be trifled with. Sensing Shin Mo's threat, the leader closed the car door. He didn't dare disturb Shin Mo anymore. But Chin Shu wasn't as lucky. He was dragged into the woods by a group of men in black. Seeing the knife about to fall, he could only shout loudly, hoping Chin Mo would save him. But Chin Mo was quietly playing on his phone in the car. Chin Mo Han's body trembled in fear. She had long lost the calm composure of a strong woman. Can you save him? Chin Mo replied flatly. My only mission is to protect you. As she watched Chin Shu being killed, tears welled up in the corners of Chin Mo Han's eyes. After all, we are blood relatives. If something happens to him, I won't be able to explain myself either. Chin Mo looked at Chin Mo Han's pitiful appearance.